Welcome to the clash of the top luxury sedans, BMW 7 Series and the BMW i7, the electric version as well, versus the Mercedes S-Class, versus the electric version EQS, versus the Audi A8. German gladiators, get ready for this fight. Very interesting because there is now the all-new BMW 7 Series coming with the combustion engine, petrol, diesel, plug-in hybrid as well, and the all-electric BMW i7. They are all on the very same platform, so they are using the very same vehicle, just with different powertrains. Whereas the Mercedes S-Class is on a different platform than the Mercedes EQS. So we have them here separated, the classic combustion method with the S-Class luxury and the new electric luxury class at Mercedes, the EQS. And then there's the Audi A8, which is in this comparison the, on the one hand, oldest model, but has recently been facelifted at least, and somewhat user interface still represents a more classic approach of controlling a vehicle. Is that maybe still a wild card in this review? Although it is the oldest model, this will be so interesting. Can the 7 Series claim the top spot in this comparison? How good is the A8 still? And how also does S-Class relate to the EQS and to its competitors? Who will win? Which car would I take home? Which one is your favorite? Let's find out here on Autogefühl. Let's go!
Is this the new king of luxury? The Chinese manufacturers are pushing to the premium and luxury market. Mercedes has presented the EQS. Now BMW says, hold my Bavarian beer, we can do better. But is it true? Can this all-new BMW 7 Series, including the electric i7, be even better than Bentley or Rolls-Royce? We're going to find out together here with Thomas on Autogefühl for you. This one here you can see in the two-tone paint, 12,000 euros or dollars extra. You have the black on the top, and here, for example, the Aventurine red on the lower part. Different color combinations are available. Throughout this review, we'll show you different colors, and both the petrol and the electric version will also solve the question, petrol or electric, what is better, especially here in the luxury segment. Huge double kidney here. Very impressive. In the extended shadow line, you can get it in all black, but you could also get it in a more subtle note. Here, for example, in the two-tone paint, I think there's a transition between the top paint and the grille, which is not ideal, I think. Or what's your take? Slim integration of the daytime running lights in the top, and this split here, that was highly criticized by a lot of viewers as well, that you have the split between the daytime running light and the real headlamp unit. So I would like to hear your take on the front design here of the 7 Series in the new generation. G70 is the internal code. Join us in the comments. Let's go with the rest. 5.39 m or 212 inches is the length of the all-new BMW 7 Series. Of course, that counts for all the versions, no matter which powertrain you pick. And the interesting thing is that if you consider some of the competitors like a Mercedes EQS or a Neo ET7 or a Tesla Model S, this one here is indeed way longer, and they are pushing in that Bentley or Rolls-Royce direction. Rolls-Royce is of course belonging to the BMW Corporation, and Rolls-Royce doesn't want to hear that, but we can show you some features today that it's actually true that they are pushing even more up market. It will only be available in this long wheelbase version. So far they had the split, for example in Germany, more short wheelbase, in the US the long wheelbase was standard. They say now this is the world car, has just one wheelbase. Makes it simpler for us, definitely. You see, I also dress in two-tone paint today, but I refuse to wear red or wine red trousers for that one. But you can see here, it's not only that split. Here there's another line for that. So it is very, very complicated to use this paint here in the process. That's why it's so expensive. Me personally, I'm more team one tone, so one single paint, but are you team two paint? Also leave me then your comments. Wheels from 19 to 22 inch. These here are already big ones, 21 inch, somewhat still a compromise. Suspension, there will always be adaptive air suspension as standard. optional, there is a so-called driver's package, and this then gives you rear axle steering, anti-roll stabilization, so an even sporty effect, and also better in turning around, turning circle, narrow parking, and so on and so on. So this will also play a major effect. And now very interesting from the drag coefficient, 0.24 here for the BMW 7 Series or i7. And this is worse than some of the competitors, because here, usually they go for a raindrop design. But BMW more upright, more space also for the headroom and so on, because they did not go for the raindrop design, rather German Bauhaus, a little bit more upright, and they did some small tweaks for the wind efficiency. You can see it, for example, also right there. Yeah, so a lot of work in the wind tunnel. But the question is it still very efficient, although they are a little bit worse than the competition in the drag coefficient? But it also has then, you can see here, higher trunk, more space in the rear and so on. So this has more advantages as for this, especially the luxury sedan segment. Soon, of course, more about the range for the i7 when we drive it, and of course this comparison petrol versus electric. Here in the rear, the tail lamps are horizontally drawn, very modern, but still I prefer actually that this does not look this raindrop alike and say like, oh, this is only about wind efficiency. So a very strong design also, and yeah, in this case then also with a two-tone paint here in the lower part. However, fake exhaust police here on Autogefühl, because yeah, these are tips then the real exhaust on the inside. It's really hard to get it focused here on camera, this detail, this extra strip, and I just wanted to show you, when I touch this here, this transition, you can feel no transition at all. This is all perfectly smooth, so incredible paint job. And can you see that? This crystalline structure and the inside of the daytime running lights here on this top part here, this is such an attention to detail. And indeed, never before there were so many interesting details with the 7 Series, and this generation is so much different from the predecessor, also almost like never before. And this vehicle here is deep frozen gray in the color, a matte dark gray color, almost, I would say it's almost matte black, isn't it? But they call it deep frozen gray. Yeah, this finally now fits my outfit even better. And this is also the i7, by the way. But you can pick this color, of course, also for the petrol engine. Where do you see from the exterior if it's the EV or the petrol or maybe also diesel in Europe or the plug-in? Well, the thing is here, the electrified models here have the blue ring around the BMW logo, and that's basically it. The rest, if you want here the double kidney in black with the frame here, again, extended shadow line also on this one, two-tone paint and so on, you decide that on your own, you decide it yourself. It's just, they are more in the strategy, hey, we don't want the EV to look different. That's the 7 Series, and you can pick it in the engine version or the motor version you like. Very interesting approach. What do you think about that? And also at the rear here, the one thing you can see, we have the blue ring here around the BMW logo to differentiate it, and we also have the i7 logo right here. Once again, extended shadow line with blacked out rear lamps for more sinister look. So yeah, this looks really massive, doesn't it? Here it says xDrive 60, that's the first version of the i7. It is also all-wheel drive, one electric motor in the front, one electric motor in the rear. The acceleration figure is 4.7 seconds to 1 kilometer or 62 miles an hour. That's half a second slower than the V8. However, later there will be the M70 version of the i7, which will then be the quickest version of all of the whole lineup. They will also then have some hardware changes to the rear electric motor. Very interesting. The top speed for this one already 240 kilometers an hour or 150 miles an hour, so it's not really much slower than the petrol version. They go a little bit faster, but yeah, I think we can easily live with that even in Germany on the German Autobahn. We also have two more colors for you today, by the way. The oxide gray. Is that also gray? I'm not sure, but it looks really interesting. And also the mineral white, that works very well also with contrasts, for example. Which color would you go for? I'm still looking forward to see one in Thomas Blue, of course, but I mean, these matte colors they offer here are also very striking. So which one is petrol, which one is EV? Can you tell? Let me tell you. Left side is the petrol one, right side the EV. You just see here the blue ring around the logo. And here with this vehicle we have a very dark, elegant blue vehicle color. That's cool. And this one, as you can obviously see, has the illuminated double kidney. And the option is called Iconic Glow. And you have this outline then there, and also welcoming function when you approach the vehicle. And as another option, there are also this Swarovski crystals option. And this you can also see here at these headlamps. We also have at our other vehicle. This is the thing where you always can see these special details, you know, how they are worked out, this top part of the daytime running light. Let's take a look at the turning indicators or hazard lights here, in this case on both sides. That looks also pretty special here in the front, right? But also at the rear and also in the interior. Let's take a look. The US spec version has the red turning indicators. Of course, then, for example, European spec one, where the yellow turning indicators would look a little bit more distinctive. Here, look at that, the ambient lighting. Woo, hazard light, ambient lighting. Haven't seen that? What a great idea, right? It's, you know, it's just initially and then it turns off, but yeah, but probably when you are somewhere having it on for a longer time that you don't get annoyed by it, but that's pretty special, isn't it? And also when you approach the vehicle from the rear, is some kind of welcoming signature. That's really impressive. And look at that interior light at night, even more impressive than this case. And when you open the vehicle, you also get some kind of welcoming display. And then also the ambient lighting becomes more obvious. But even when you close the vehicle again, even from the outside, when the doors are closed, it looks really amazing. And when you get away from the vehicle again, at some point, closes off, and then also says goodbye with this signature. The smartphone app offers some cool features. For example, if you have the automatic doors, then you can also open the doors via the smartphone. And that looks very impressive, especially when you open them all four at once. And what you can also do is use the remote parking function. So we know it maybe from Hyundai, Kia and Genesis that they do that with the key fob here, also with BMW with the smartphone app. And then you can also ease your car out of parking lots or put them in when they're very narrow. Before we get to the interior, let's quickly take a look at the powertrains. This one here, the pure petrol version. This is the 4.4 liter V8 with 540 horsepower in the 760i. So the strongest petrol engine, 4.2 seconds is the acceleration figure. And then there will also be the 3 liter inline 6-cylinder pure petrol engine. This one will also be totally sufficient, 5.4 seconds is the acceleration figure there. However, the pure petrol engines are for the US market and some other countries. Northern America in general is the main market for that one. In Europe, we don't get the pure petrol engine, but we get the diesel. What is it? It's kind of a trade-off, BMW, huh? Well, but for all markets, you get the plug-in hybrid based on the 3 liter inline 6-cylinder petrol engine and the i7, the pure electric version. If you need some extra footroom, this is the version to go for. I'm just kidding. This is the cutaway model here, where we can see more of that battery. This is the i7 cutaway, and these cells here combined make a total capacity of 102 kilowatt hours net. Recharging will be 10 to 80% state of charge with DC charging in 34 minutes. It's the optimum at the 195 kilowatt peak. And here at the closed side, you can also see the two-tone paint. When you have the top part here in the gray or silver styling, then it has even more contrast, and you can see this separate fine line even better. And once again, no transition here, or you can feel no transition with your finger. It's really very, very well made. Well, will it worth be $12,000 or euros to you? So you rather press here in this upper corner and then you move a little bit more backwards that you do not block the sensor. So when I press it here, the door does open automatically like this. And the question is, what about, you know, like the safety thing? So when I close it here from the inside again, and I'll be well, it still applies pressure. Oh, a little bit, yeah. So it stops, yes, but actually it's not too pleasant, I have to say. Let me stand up and then see again. Oh, yeah, so you could knock away children with that. It won't hurt so much and there won't be like a major accident. Yeah, but you just have to be aware of that, definitely. And the thing is also, what about from the outside? Pressing it here, and then, you can see, there it stops. So this is then better with the sensor. So there it stops before it does hit everything. So yeah, that's the safety thing on the outside. Well, when you're on the inside, you just have to learn to control the doors a little bit better. Inside of the doors, a lot of different materials are being used, really screaming out. Bowers & Wilkins sound system here behind that. Seat control in this crystalline look, but you can still move that thing. You get a haptic feedback, unlike with the Mercedes at the moment, with the new models. Then here, fabric with wool shear. This is this kind of interior, but you would also get a new so-called Veganza sensor tech. It's like a more evolved sensor tech style if you get that interior. And here, high gloss black piano lacquer. That is, I think, the least favorable material we see here at the inside of the doors. Steering wheel in a new design. This is here the M Sport steering wheel. As for the seats, this one here, the fabric wool shear mix. So this is like this, more fabric approach to it. Why not in the luxury segment? Reducing animal skin leather already a little bit. The top part is animal origin, however. And then there's a full animal skin wrap still. And new, however, here with the new 7 Series is the so-called Veganza material. It is basically the same appearance like the new Sensación in the BMW X7 facelift, only that they use different suppliers. But they're both then kind of an elaborated sensor tech material, animal-free, less resource use, less energy used, better to animals, better to the workers, and so on. So this is where it is heading to, definitely. Some limitations for the Veganza material as for the market choice. In Germany, we can basically get it for all the versions. In UK, you can get it for the i7, for the all-electric version. And in the US, they make it the other way around. They don't offer the i7 with the Veganza material, and also not here the 8-cylinder. There you have to go for the 6-cylinder. I think not a good strategy to limit this offer there, because the material is superb. It has also the very same durability, but way less impact on everything around us. So we've seen it in the X7, it is perfect, and also way to go than here when speccing this vehicle. As for the comfort here when seating, for the seat ergonomics, yeah, it's really very comfortable, very luxurious. And that's also the first thing when you take a look at the competitors. The new ET7 recently, I think, had also good comfort in seating. Tesla Model S and Mercedes EQS, this one here has definitely way more comfort already when sitting in the front here. So for the seat ergonomics here and how you feel, this is one of the most luxurious sedans, definitely. And yeah, I mean, from the comfort in the front, they can easily, I think, even be better than Bentley or Rolls-Royce. So you feel with everything they do here, they are pushing towards the segment. However, user interface, you've already seen, they're getting more and more digital. Is that the right thing to do? We'll also tell you more about that. Interior overview, well, very clean first impression, and told you, Mercedes EQS is all about ambient lighting. BMW says, hold my beer, we can also do ambient lighting, and that's where we ended up with. So here, this looks really amazing. So this like crystalline structure on the top. It's not glass though, because that would have been, not really crash safe. And here you can then switch through the different colors. And I mean, it's really bright. It's 12 o'clock noon at the moment here, and you can still very well see that. So that's actually a pretty cool idea to bring more spice to the interior. However, as for the vents control, if you take a closer look right here, this is also digitalized. And do you see here this, this green dot jumping? This looks a little bit more like Space Invaders or so, isn't it? Here on the driver and the co-driver side, by the way, it's the same. You can see the transition here between the door inside panel and this cockpit panel, how the ambient lighting is changing. So yeah, once again, especially at night, that's a very impressive feature. You still have buttons you can really press here, for example, for the cruise control. This is like one button but then the central one is separated. Digital instruments, left side speed, right side here the RPM, brum brum. And then you can also change what you want to see in the middle. You can have here the music view from the CarPlay. You can have the GPS, car internal GPS, but it's also possible to show Apple Maps here or Google Maps with Android Auto. And there we go. This is the front view camera. It's also a nice integration. Then you can also change the whole layout if you rather prefer, for example, this or this. Yeah, or maybe this. Yeah, and you can also have just a central speed in the middle if you want it rather reduced. Head-up display also with more elaborated view. It is always more crisp in real life than it is on camera. Yeah, I'll also see more about it when we drive the vehicle. Now the infotainment system, here the temperature always stays in the lower part. I do prefer manual climate knobs, you know that, but this one, at least it stays here, but not a real progress, I would think. Climate menu, you can also now turn on and off the AC function. They upgraded that, and here, for example, is the seat cooling and the seat heating and steering wheel heating, very important for wintertime. This is my favorite wintertime car function, actually. Then here, there's also a main menu available like this, but I think OS 8 is overkill. I did prefer OS 7. This one, of course, has just so many more functions overall. And yeah, I told you about the interior ambient lighting function, for example, that can be activated right here. And the My Mode selection is also interesting. So here you pick the different driving modes, and then also the ambient lighting changes accordingly, and also some parameters for driving. Here in Sport Mode, for example, the bolsters of the seat go a little bit more inward, for example. You can still control everything from down below, so you don't have to use the touchscreen. So you can also control the CarPlay like this. Android Auto also available, both wireless, and the integration is really cool here, definitely. And this Bowers & Wilkins sound system, I can tell you, it is just pleasure to listen to that one. Great song, by the way. Wow, such a great sound quality, amazing. Wow. Lower middle console, this inductive charging pad here, and hard to pick it up on camera, but this is here a small slot, and it is sucking away. Yeah, I did say that. Sucking away the air from the smartphone, though it doesn't overheat while inductive charging. So, and then here you have the cup holders. You can open them, slide like this, and they are also adaptive and hold bottles tight. Did I just say, like in one or two sentences now, slot, sucking and tight? Here again, more high gloss black piano lacquer, don't like it. The crystalline knob here is quite cool here, and then you can still have this, sound. Yeah, that's always cool. Here the GPS hotkey, for example, a home hotkey, so you still have some things to control that you're used to. This here is the shifting lever, and this is basically the only thing you can differentiate if you're driving a petrol engine or the electric version. Here D and S, and whereas in the i7, the electric one, you have D and B for the recuperation mode, actually. We have my favorite split opening like this for the middle console. Not too much space here, 2 USB-C chargers. And, well, BMW did not hand me over a key, but rather just a smartphone. And then you have this app here, and you can lock and unlock your vehicle. Oh, they also did this, original two-tone paint design on there. I do prefer a normal knob. And we are also charging our camera accuracy here, camera batteries. Meanwhile, so yeah, it is usable, but not too much space. What about you? Would you go for the smartphone only solution? We know that Tesla customers also use that together with this key card. Or do you want to hold a real key fob in your hand? Why did Michel's door close? So Michel just got a hit in the he just got hit in the back by the door. Probably you did hit the automatic door button like this one here, right? Yeah, you did hit this one with your arm or something. So you basically, Michel, stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. Yeah, funny things like these can happen with this new digitalized interface in the vehicle. And this is always the question, like with the key fob. I do prefer a real key fob, Yeah, I think I'm gonna go to BMW and do a Karen, like, I want to talk to the manager. I want the real key fob. I paid for this. Yeah, you still get the normal key fob. Yes, that's a good thing, and you can use it. but on these, test drives, they also encourage you to use all the digital functions of the vehicle. And I sometimes try to keep it a little bit more, down to earth as for the vehicles. So you can still use some buttons here, but I'm not sure, like also with the automatic door opening and closing and so on. Rear area, before we get to the executive driving, being chauffeured position, what about when I'm sitting behind the tall driver? Yes, that's me. Here the legroom is still sufficient. They are not making good use of the space, but there will always be enough space available. And also as for the headroom, and here's the thing, that they did a compromise with aerodynamics, so they could still offer a lot of headroom even with 1.89 or 6'2". And the comfort here, if you compare it to the EQS, is so much better indeed. So BMW clearly wins it here. And I have to say, would I need a Bentley or Rolls-Royce for that and pay even more? I think really not. It is super luxurious in here indeed. And the thing is, when you have the Mercedes comparison, you have to compare this one both to the S-Class and to the EQS. And the difference in rear comfort is so huge to the EQS. S-Class also offers decent rear comfort, yes, of course. But here, of course, BMW decided to have one vehicle for the both electric and the petrol version, and nothing will be different here in the interior, really. That's a very crucial point. The one thing I do criticize with this vehicle is, but that's not only about BMW, it's about all the brands, using this vehicle has become more complicated. So I put up the shade here. So when I want to open the window, here I can also lower the shade manually. But then when I want to put up again, it's not working here. It would be like a logic solution. I just pull this lever and then the shade comes. First the window and then the shade. That would make sense. It's not possible. When lowering it, it goes down, but I can't put it up again that way. Then I have to go here deep in the menu. Yes, I'm continuing with that today, deep in the menu. So, and then I have to switch it here on the screen that this shade comes up. And I wonder, if you're driving 10 hours all day, and maybe this is kind of like a hobby, it takes more time to use car functions. And I'm keeping myself busy while being chauffeured. That's maybe a thing, but I tend to say I want to have things straightforward and just technology improvement when it makes my life easier and not more complicated. Also, where are the seat controls here that I can like put the seat forward or backward again, just like in 1 second? It's not there. It's again in the screen that they don't need so many buttons. So, and then I have to go to the home menu again, switch to seats, and then control the driving position here, what I want to have. It works, yes, and they've done a great job and everything looks great and so on, but it just takes more time. You will get faster over time, but when we directly compare the old school solution and the new school solution, the user interface is just taking more time now. And this is the thing I meant. So, considering it is an early, there we go. It's an early production model, so things will still improve, also software-wise, definitely. But I just had a screen crash now. I had to wait until the screen reloads itself. So, but when I would have separate seat control here, I could still do that and don't care about the crashing screen. But here, then you have to wait for the screen to restart, and it took like 2 minutes now or something. And by the way, at least what is redundant is the door control. You have three-way. Yes, three-way. I got it. I got that. Thank you. And then you have 3 ways to adjust, to open the door here. When you press this button, it just opens slightly and then you can press it further. Second way is this button up here. This is then the automatic door opener and it really opens all the way. Oh, sorry, that gets really bright now, And there we can close it all again. And then the manual way, because this is of course, important emergency fail-safe. This is the manual door opener. When all electronics fail, that you can still manually open that door. Oh my God, this is not spacious enough. Yeah, of course. Now we can use the executive being chauffeured position. And I activate it here on the screen. Set lounge position, it is called. There we can see magic. The front seat is moving forward. Let's see. Of course, it takes a while. While that is going forward, I can also show you this one here, the armrest. Again, inductive charging pad. Air is being sucked away. And then here is some more storage with 2 more USB-C chargers. And the quality of the materials, how everything is processed in the interior, is really outstanding. And now, there we go. Yeah, I think I'm gonna take my shoes off now. And because you can see here the seat, it's going up. Oh, this is awesome, right? This is awesome. Look at that. Wow. This is really amazing. Super comfortable. And then you can also rest your feet here on this, special footrest that is going up. This is really amazing. Now the seat is going a little bit more backward. And once again, me with 189 and 6'2", this is sufficient for my size. Actually, it's still going. Now position is reached. Maybe I should switch and start traveling just here in this position and get a driver. You want to be my driver? Applications in the comments. That would be awesome, right? And we also can get to know each other, right? So yeah, wow, this is extremely comfortable. It works size-wise. What a great idea here. So this is really some amazing equipment here. And also the head restraint is super comfortable. So is it king of luxury now? From what we've seen here so far, maybe not king of user interface, but which car is that nowadays? But from the comfort perspective, wow, this is outstanding indeed. And I really don't need a Rolls or Bentley now, indeed. And now it's time for the theater mode. Let's try it with the voice input. Hey BMW, activate theater mode.
I will activate the theater mode.
Ta-da! Woo! Yeah, that's a cool effect with the sound and so on, right? So it goes down like this. You always have to ensure that the front seats are also, far away down. Yes, keep using. And then this is here with Amazon Fire TV. And you can have, for example, Prime Video, but you can also watch YouTube. So that would be possible, depending, of course, on the online connection. So here, for example, you can watch pre-downloaded content then, if you have done it before and don't have a Wi-Fi connection. That is one possibility.
Thomas,
Hey.
what are you doing there?
I'm already taking a look at our footage, because that's the thing what you can also do here. So we connected now this MacBook here with an HDMI cable to the screen, and then we can take a look at our footage here, which we have just been shooting. Yeah, I mean, it's very crisp, this image quality. Really cool, of course, here in full 4K now here in Autogefühl for you. Well, to work really with it, that is creating too much delay. That doesn't really make sense. But for example, if you have something, like movies maybe on your laptop and want to have the HDMI connection, that would be possible. You can then select the source, either the Fire TV or then here the HDMI. It is also USB-C connection on the back part, but that is not for using as input. That would have been cool as well, maybe like with a USB-C stick or something, but that's not possible. But yeah, it does deliver you some possibilities. And the, let's say, more straightforward use would be, I mean, here at the back panel of the seats, there's USB-C charging, also some mounts for iPad holders. So yeah, at the end of the day, is it really useful, this theater screen? It's great for the show effect. But will people rather use their own devices and watch the thing on their smartphone or on the tablet? Probably yes. Or what's your take on that? And the shade of the panoramic roof, by the way, is going forward. So it starts at the rear here and then is being rolled in the front. And the reason for that is, by that, they can also ensure more rear headroom because they are storing it here in the front. That's a very clever idea indeed. You cannot open the sunroof, it's just that blind you can close or open. And the secondary interior here with bright styling. The same style, same color you can also get with the leatherette Veganza material, so that would look and feel the same. And this one here is also an i7, but that's once again
from the interior. How can I see that? It's actually just the one thing that is here, the B and the D. So we have the full recuperation mode we can pick here instead of the S mode for the combustion engines, but that's basically about it. Everything else is the same. There's also no compromise as for headroom or something. So it is really, they went for, hey, we built one vehicle and then you pick the different powertrains. But in driving, they will differ. Or will they? Well, we're going to find out. Oh, and the blue ring around the steering wheel. That's, of course, the other thing. You can see that it's an electric vehicle here, or the EV version on the interior. And now to the trunk. Let's take a look. 540 liters here for the petrol version. We'll soon also compare the EV. You can see here the cabin trolley also easily fits in a vertical way. So good measurement, of course. Then here I installed a light right there that you can also see the back of the vehicle. And this is the length of, let's say, like 115 in meters or 45 inches. And the crucial width here on the inside is a little bit less than 80 centimeters or 31 inches. It's just way wider here on the very front part. Interesting also the height, of course, and this is at 57 centimeters or 22 inches. And this is the trunk of the EV, of the i7. You see here in the petrol version, like this step was a little bit lower. So this whole floor is a little higher. However, in the front, you still have space for the charging cable. It's just that this then here is covered. And the height difference then is that here we are at 50 centimeters or 20 inches, whereas we were at 22 inches or 57 centimeters with the petrol version. So this is the gap then you lose in height with the EV version. I think you can live with that. Welcome to Thomas's luxury driving lounge, and I really wanted to start with dynamic driving. It's soon to come, but then I was driving straight and I thought, like, I have to begin with driving straight, because this vehicle here, the all-new BMW 7 Series, is already a star when just driving straight. I mean, I'm just driving pure straight road and think like, I'm flying, you know? You can also have the assistance systems here. They're keeping you in the lane, active lane keeping assist, very smooth as for the transitions and so on. And you hear almost nothing from the outside. You are totally decoupled from everything. So the stress level is immediately lower. It's great comfort in the seats and so on. Wow, just wow. The luxury comfort we have here is outstanding. And yeah, once again, I have to say to one of the first questions, are they closing the gap here to Bentley and Rolls-Royce? Definitely. I mean, they're almost making Rolls-Royce obsolete. It's about more like the individual choices, of course. That's the thing then, you know. But it's really more about you pay more because you want to pay more, but you don't have to. Although this is not cheap at all, you know. But yeah, this is easily driving-wise also king of luxury. Wow. But then it's still a BMW. That's why I initially also wanted to begin with that. What's to come here? You can maybe also already see it right here. Winding corners here outside of Palm Springs, California. Really testing the vehicle. How agile is it? Although it is that large, it has that long wheelbase. Short remark to the fuel economy here of the 8-cylinder, 4.4 liter 8-cylinder. You can, in a calm driving, you know, motorway, 100 kilometers, 60 miles an hour, cruise control, do some 9 to 10 liters on 1 kilometers and some 25 mpg US or even in the 30s of the mpg UK. That is possible. If you use that power a little bit, it can also easily jump up to about 30 liters on 1 kilometers and then go down below 20 mpg both US and UK. So that's like the spectrum. And we will test first here the petrol engine, the V8, and then we will get to the i7, to the all-electric version, and compare also what is actually better, petrol or electric. I know this area here a little bit. That's why I know we can, you know, just hold here on the right side and then do an acceleration onto the road again without, you know, having any
any kind of risk or something. So here we go. And I'll put it to my modes. It's a little bit tough to select that here, and then I put to sports mode. And there's no one, there's one car coming, and then we can hit the accelerator pedal. And let's see, it's a little slightly uphill. Let's see, let's go. Blop, that's 55 miles an hour, wow. So that was almost 0 to 60 miles an hour. Woo! Wow. So that was something. You good, Michelle? He's like, I mean, it did like the super quick acceleration, that V8 sound hammered in, and he's like, oh, I'm flying still. This is so relaxing. So yeah, let's see if I can get him out of his relaxing mode here, Michelle. So we are hunting up these corners and see how agile is it. This vehicle has everything in it. Adaptive air suspension goes a little bit stiffer than here in these corners, and also the integral active steering. So that's a rear axle steering, and together also with the anti-roll stabilization. And this car is not leaning into the corners at all. Wow. The weight distribution here is a little bit worse with the petrol engine than with the EV. So the goal is always 50-50 at BMW, and the EV has perfect 50-50. This one here, the petrol, has like just slight percentage more to the front axle because of the petrol engine, but it's just a little difference. So this was, I talked to the chief engineer, and he said actually one of his biggest tasks with this one platform solution was to exactly achieve that both drive quite equal. Is that true? We'll find out very soon. I can already tell you here so far with the petrol engine, it drives phenomenal. And you know, I'm testing a lot of different vehicles, and in the last 10 years I've been driving, I don't know, 1,500 different cars. This one is no doubt one of the most exceptional ones. Rarely do we find that a vehicle, especially of that size, has this kind of agile driving feeling. I mean, and it's really super unique. On the one hand, it feels extremely smooth and comfortable. On the other hand, you feel like, wow, I mean, this is actually quite light and very sporty indeed. So we can also do that with what the truck does. Is it local? Yeah, just always try to obey the speed limit. I still need my driver's license. Wow, and then I mean, this V8 has a nice sound. It gets you a little bit more emotions. Let's see if that EV later on can keep up to that. But it's also buttery smooth when you hit the accelerator pedal. There's no delay whatsoever from that V8. And this slightly growling sound, not exaggerated at all. Steering gives me a very good feeling. Wow, what a view down to Palm Springs. So steering gives me a great possibility to control the vehicle. And I can't believe I'm driving such a huge and long vehicle. It doesn't feel like that at all. Michelle? He's flabbergasted.
Super relaxing, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really not driving slowly here, you know. So, and there are like, also like the G-force that are applied on the body. Sometimes when you hitting these serpentine roads, especially like the co-drivers say like, no, but he's like, I'm really driving quite quickly here. Yeah, this truck driver here in front of me, that he is really onto this now here too. He must be feeling way different than we in this 7 Series here. But wow, driving dynamics wise, this is on another level, and not only in comparison to the predecessor, which was already good, definitely, but yeah, I mean, also the competition. They are building very, very nice cars as well, no doubt about that. But this is also driving wise, both in the comfort and in the agility direction. Really, this owns the competition, and I rarely say that, you know. So, and you know, when you're a long-term subscriber here, that you know that I'm for Germany doesn't have anything to do in how I rate cars from which countries, and most cars are international built anyway. BMW also builds a lot of their cars in the US, primarily, especially the SUVs. So, and I'm also not brand focused or something. So they say, oh, like this is my favorite brand, therefore I rate it in a better way or something like that. A lot of you guys already know that I used to own a lot of Jaguars and so on. Huge fan of all the British vehicles and so on. So I can really just say that without any bias, this is one of the most superb cars in the driving, definitely, like ever. Wow, I'm really just literally blown away how good that is. So yeah, I mean, when I just think about, hey, picking in a nice color, getting the new Veganza evolved center tech seats here for animal-free seating, maybe in a bright color or something, that would have been a K-gas combination, right? So yeah, just have to recheck then again if I can really afford that. So yeah, that's of course always something else with the BMW 7 Series. You could also wait 10 years and then buy a used one. So yeah, I mean, usually after 3 years they lose half of the price, these very expensive vehicles, so you might wait in at least 3 years or something. Wow, this is, I mean, it's strange. I mean, quite often you have cars that are really comfortable and relaxing, and you have cars that are really sporty, and then the variables change a little bit. And rarely have I had an experience where I have so much sporty driving fun, but so much relaxed comfort at the same time. It seems like a complete contradiction, you know. So it seems like a goal conflict, but it's actually true. Wow, that is really cool. Driving modes. It was a sport mode here, and we can also go to the let's say like the relax mode. In the relax mode, that was a nice test as well. So the sunshade goes closed in the relax mode. We have our camera mounted up there. And that was, thank you, good boy. So that was well done by the sunshade. It did hit the camera mount, but it did them immediately stop and not destroy it. And we, believe me, we had other sunshades there before. So well done, sunshade. That's live here on Autogefühl, the most authentic experience in reviewing you can get. In relaxing mode, I'll show you if you feel that, Michelle. There is, yeah, that's the stuff. There is the seat massage. I also feel it. That's very well done, that seat massage, right? Will you also be happy with the 6-cylinder engine? Definitely, it will deliver more than enough power. It will have a better fuel economy. They are electrifying their whole portfolio, even though when you don't have an all-electric version, you have always like a mild hybrid inbuilt then, or then the plug-in hybrid will also be available, of course, together with the 6-cylinder petrol engine. So my tip rather would be then to stick with the smallest petrol engine if you don't go EV yet, because this will be totally sufficient and will already deliver you the same kind of fun. And yes, the V8 always has some kind of better sound. However, this car is so well insulated that you heard it maybe earlier, but you don't hear the engine that much because the cabin is so well insulated. I mean, there's no wind noise whatsoever from the exterior. Yeah, that's really, I'm also like 21-inch wheels on this vehicle and still such a great comfort from suspension. If you want an even softer ride, you would stick with smaller wheels. So no matter which car you have, you can always vary comfort and sportiness with the wheels. The bigger wheels you get, the sportier the car will feel, the more direct it will feel. When you get smaller wheels, it will have more dampening from the tire and you will have more comfort. So you can just choose that yourself. And here we go. This is the i7, the all-electric version of the all-new BMW 7 Series. And, well, the first surprising thing is you hardly feel a difference, at least when driving straight here now. You have this great floating ride from the air suspension. And since you feel the shifting, of course, in the combustion engine, but since it's done in a very smooth way, it's not a huge difference. So from the get-go here, there has hardly ever been a vehicle
where there are different powertrain versions of it, where the difference between the EV and the non-EV version is so little in the first feeling. So that's really, really interesting. Of course, you have the throttle input is like a little bit more directly, but they also both tuned these vehicles in a way that there also is not the biggest difference between that. So, wow, super interesting. And when there would be like the V8 sound, it would be almost the same. There is also the sound here, these iconic sounds as they call it. We will soon hop to the sports mode, do the same acceleration as we did yesterday. This one here on paper, a little bit less quick in this version. Later, as I said, there will be electric version, all-electric version, which will be even quicker than everyone. And in the sport mode, the sound will be even more enhanced. So we will experience that. But when you're driving straight here now, you basically get almost the same experience, both with the petrol and the EV. This sonorous, low-frequency growling from a 6 or 8 cylinder is, of course, always something that just, appears to your body somehow, That's not necessarily a thing like, oh, we're petrol heads or something. It's for real, also with vibrations and something. So that is kind of cool. You don't feel it here, but since this vehicle has such a great insulation, the difference again is not that large. So now sports mode, and we'll hear more of these iconic sounds. Let's accelerate it out. Let's go. Launch control. Plop, that's 55 miles an hour. Wow. Whew. And you also heard that sound building up. That was pretty amazing. You liked it, Michelle? He's a fan of iconic sound stuff. You can always deactivate it. So everything you hear now from this, you can completely deactivate it. It's just a thing like if you want that. It is not very extreme. So there are electric vehicles where you have more sound feedback. So here they thought with a 7 Series, we don't exaggerate it. In the sports mode here, you hear, of course, more of that. I think it's still subtle enough. Here now in these corners, once again, they feel pretty similar. So the EV has a little bit better weight distribution, and also the center of gravity is lower because the batteries are put in the floor. We've seen the cutaway model. Then again, the overall weight, of course, the battery is quite heavy. So, yeah, but the question is really, what's the result then for the customer? And I have to say, once again, it feels pretty similar. So I can just stress how it was with the slower driving. Also here, it is actually less than expected. There is also this instant acceleration. It's so super smooth. The feeling from the throttle pedal is a little bit more linear and artificial, of course. With ICE, internal combustion engine, you always have some kind of power curve, which somehow feels more natural because it's not that digital, it's not that linear. And to me, this is something, let's say, a little bit more human, you know what I mean? Again, the difference is not that large, and here, wow, it's so well put on the road, doesn't shake up at all. It's a lot of fun, and at the same time, it's super comfortable once again. Yeah, I'm really once again impressed by the driving behavior here. And we don't have it here that we would feel, oh, like because of the weight of the batteries, we are getting pushed out of the corners or something. The big question is indeed, is any of these vehicles here, or any of these versions, so to say, more fun? And it's a tough question. Sometimes I'm absolutely certain when I have these ratings or these verdicts, and I'm, like, okay, this is more fun or this is more fun. But here, it's both a lot of fun, definitely. Maybe I would say that when you have the combustion engine, it feels a little bit more natural because of that power curve. So it's, to me, it is not that
perfect, like, you know, this digitalized linear power curve of the EV, and because it is less perfect, it feels to me more natural and maybe a little bit more likable. So when I'm just base it on the pure feeling thing, maybe, yeah, I would say the combustion engine is still a little bit more pleasing. I don't need the V8 for that. I would just be fine with the 6-cylinder. I think the BMW 6-cylinder is the best engine pick in the whole lineup across all the models. The inline 6 petrol from BMW is the best engine you can pick there. But that's, you know, on the pure fun side, and also with minor difference. Here the crucial thing is really charging infrastructure. So if you're willing to go EV yet and you have the charging infrastructure, you can as well go for the i7, no problem. If you're driving every day, long mileage and have no good charging possibility, then of course it's still one of the combustion engines. So I think it really rather comes down to, do you have the charging infrastructure or not? That's really the crucial thing. As for recuperation, so far we're going uphill, but we're soon finishing this uphill run here. And I'll talk more about the recuperation modes. At the moment we're in the adaptive mode, and that means that usually when I lift the throttle, there is rather rolling. Only when here now, the car is in front of me and I'm too close to it, then recuperation is happening. This is somewhat like of a good compromise. The only thing is that it's not that predictable what the car will do. If you rather want that, you can also pull this shifting lever, and then you are in the B mode, and then you have more one pedal driving feeling. So here, always, wow, really strong deceleration. That is a true one pedal driving. So if you prefer that, you can have that. Talking about the driving modes, by the way, as for the steering is crisp and direct. The only thing I would like to be improved, BMW more moved to the direction of, hey, let's make the car easy and light to steer, and by that convey a feeling of being more agile. Whereas the old school approach, especially in sporty vehicles, is more like, hey, let's apply more feeling to the vehicle by giving it a little bit more resistance. And to me, I feel it's somehow cooler when the steering has some more resistance in it. See here in the sports mode, it's still pretty light. So again, it's crisp and direct. Yeah, in the sport mode, you have a little bit more resistance. But me personally as a driver, I would like to have a little bit more resistance in the steering wheel, but it's still fine. And of course, big advantage for the EV is, we went uphill now, and when we go downhill again, we will gain so much energy back. So of course the EV then, especially when there are topography changes, is so much more efficient. And here we go with our test result for today. So it's 3 miles per kilowatt hour, and that means considering a 102 kilowatt hour battery, yeah, over 300 miles of electric range. It's like 500 kilometers. You can see here we've been driving over 200 miles for you today. And this is here, by the way, we gained over 22 kilowatt hours back to the battery by recuperation. Overall, that's a comparable result and a good result. Also, if you compare it to the competition, like the Mercedes EQS, the Mercedes EQS has better wind efficiency on the motorway, yes, but it does not feature a heat pump yet. Probably receive it later. Here the BMW i7 already gets a heat pump from standard equipment, so you're also safe then in winter times.
So I did adapt to the temperature outside now a little bit, and yeah, I think that's also fitting to the vehicle, isn't it? So the question is, we had a lot of questions initially, does it own even Bentley and Rolls-Royce? Yeah, kinda. I don't need a Bentley or Rolls-Royce when I can have that. You just pay extra in price without getting any more benefit, actually. You can have everything with that. Plus, they now also have the new animal-free interior. We haven't had it today. We've already seen it in the X7, and that's absolutely perfect. And that's why they have a more sustainable setup, and they really can combine the luxury and sustainability aspect, of course, as far as possible. Question also, petrol versus the EV here. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's really a question of infrastructure. You have to have that. Otherwise, it's definitely more complicated. Here with a range of about 500 kilometers or 300 miles, the EV is slightly catching up at least to the V8. Especially if you have the 6-cylinder, you will have even more range. Of course, the 6-cylinder will be king of range. So yes, the combustion engines will still give you a higher range, that's for certain. The question is your driving profile and is your charging infrastructure ready yet? From a driving experience, both come so close indeed. You can't really say the other one is way more fun than the other one or something. I felt like this low sonorous frequency sound of the 8-cylinder does deliver some more natural fun driving feeling, a little bit just, than the i7. But again, it's not a huge difference. That shouldn't be the crucial point if you go EV or not, actually. And what about the direct competition from the premium manufacturers, like Mercedes, for example? Well, especially with the rear comfort, it's easily or way better than the Mercedes EQS and also everything else. The only thing with these new vehicles here, also in this new generation, the user interface has become more complicated. That's also the thing here. You can get used to it a little bit, but still I think at some points they were going in a too complicated direction. Other than that, what an impressive vehicle. This is my in-depth review of the all-new Mercedes S-Class, including Autobahn driving and a nighttime driving feature. Let's go. You're watching Autogefühl with Thomas and the all-new Mercedes S-Class V223, so the standard US version or the one with long wheelbase in Europe. Here in the AMG line, that means a sportier styling here in the front, but it's not as sporty as, for example, when you compare E63 versus normal E-Class. Here, the AMG styling is the most prominent thing is actually here in this part, this air intake. The grille doesn't look too different, and also in the S-Class, the AMG still gets the standing star in the front, which is, it just fits to the S-Class, and I think it's good that they kept it here with this model. Then the lamps come standard with multi-beam LED function and optional the so-called digital light with micro mirrors, which can also project things on the road actually. And here just only one daytime running light stripe. I think that's not a good decision. They now differentiate it with dots. So the S-Class gets 3 dots, the E-Class 2 dots inside, and the C-Class 1. Okay, can we just repeat this shot and show it once more? Look how the star is mirroring in the front hood and the light reflects. Ooh. And you have this huge sensor area. They are hidden behind this one. It looks fancy, but what I found out by mistake is like when you squeeze it, you hear that? That doesn't sound too good, right? Oh, and what I always love, you when you have dark exterior color and then the bright interior color, mixes so well this contrast, right? The length is at 5 meters 29 or 208 inches, has grown a little bit in length if you compare it to the predecessor, and wheels come actually from 18 to 21 inch. These here are the 20-inch wheels, and I think they have a very interesting styling. Would you notice what the color is? Oh, yeah, the handles go in. I just touched them here, yeah, barely, so they fold in and out. Soon more details to that. So the color here, it looks black, right? But if you look closely, it has some brown shade, so it's actually a very, very dark brown. Or black with brown accentuations? I don't know. Classic for an S-Class is here, this bow right there, from the C-pillar here. This is how you actually realize it's an S-Class, and the end of the bow is almost here at the center of the back wheel in the middle part like this. This is the typical S-Class design element and the typical sedan shape. Rear axle steering is a big highlight here in the rear axle. You can see it also from these shots, and it's the most important technology feature, I think, because the rear wheels can go up to 10 degrees in the opposite direction, and that actually reduces the turning circle by 2 meters. That's enormous. And air suspension is standard. Optional, you can get the e-active body control, that the car can also a little bit lean into the corner. The rear looks sleeker than before, and here these tail lamps make it at the same time wider, so a more fluent design here. This is general at the moment theme with the Mercedes design language, but it also looks, less differentiating if you compare the smaller Mercedes sedans. S500 is our version for today. Always comes with all-wheel drive, says 4MATIC right here, has a rear-wheel bias. Then Autogefühl fake exhaust police, because the real exhaust on the inside. Yeah, but then this extended tip, I don't know. What do you think? I think not. So far only with BMW. Here now at Mercedes, when you open the hood, pull it twice and then it's actually opened. That's really the cool thing. Yes, I'm showing the standing star once again. That's the cool thing here. Then you can just lift it up and there it is. And you have 3-liter 6-cylinders and also 4-liter V8. And then the 12-cylinder for the Maybach version. You can also find the review here on our channel. And then there are the diesels, 3-liter diesels for Europe. And this one here, the S500, 430 horsepower, 4.9 seconds in the acceleration. And there will also be plug-in hybrids. Door closing sound. Yeah, really cool. It has some kind of vintage closing sound as well, so that's interesting. And there's also soft close here. When you approach the vehicle or you open it with the key fob, then the door handles fold out. And yeah, I'm not too convinced of that. You can press it here then again to close it. And then also, you know, when you approach it again, it should also open, yeah, like this. But I think it's making things just complicated actually. Then inside of the door, beautiful job here with the matte wood interior actually. And there's the light switch that also works pretty well, easy. But then here this one button philosophy. So this is like one button field for the seat cooling, seat heating, also the memory function. And it just appears cheap when it's like just one button with this capacitive function. These are better, the window levers, definitely. Then this is the AMG line also on the interior. So we have AMG floor mats and also these aluminum pedals. And the AMG steering wheel, which has a good handle. It's really nice while driving. Has these 2 horizontal spokes right there. This is really interesting. Looks cool and also the size is great. But then once again the capacitive buttons where you have to slide, and that's especially while driving. Again, not a step forward but rather backward. The seats here in a very luxurious design. These cushions here are amazing. They are just so soft and covered with microfiber. For the main seats, only animal skin available from stock. You can also request an all fabric interior. And I also think this should be in the configurator, and also a full leatherette option like Tesla is offering should also be in the configurator, like a high grade one. So they need to step things forward right there. As for the seating position, super comfortable. I just love it. It's very soft, very plush, and especially long term. I've also driven this car now, you know, almost 800 kilometers in our test here, and this was no problem at all. And for me it's 86 or 6.1, still leaves some headroom. This is the one then here with a panoramic roof, which has these rather complicated sliders. Meanwhile, I have a little bit of practice, but again, real buttons would be better there. And another major fail is here. This unit for the seat, it's looking still cool, but you cannot move this thing. So back in the past, for the previous generation, you could move these elements and then they were doing something. Now you kind of touch them and then the seat moves, but it doesn't give you feedback. Interior overview, 12.3-inch digital instruments, 12.8-inch central screen. And this is here all piano lacquer, so this collects so much scratches and fingerprints and so on. But here, this area with the wood and atmosphere, matte wood, just listen to that. This is so beautiful, awesome. And everyone who's looking at that vehicle said, oh my God, this looks amazing from the inside. The looks. What about the user interface? Going to take a look at that. But first of all, finish the looks here, the air vents on the top part. They also belong to the, you know, screaming out features. And of course the ambient lighting, which is, for example, also changing if you control temperature, like here warmer, then you have these red stripes, and colder, you have these blue ones. That looks amazing. And steering wheel, once again, great form. It feels so much sportier in the AMG line with the AMG line steering wheel. But I'm not happy with the capacitive buttons here, also, for example, for the volume control and so on. The head display is always hard to see, but it offers a lot of information, even some augmented reality function. And, seen that? Yes, Mercedes Star. You can also watch it here from inside the cockpit. That's, of course, a main thing always. Instruments, you can see here the blinking IR so infrared sensors, and they are only visible here on camera. You do not see them with your own eyes, and they are watching you, they are controlling you. Ooh. Then here, the fuel economy. This is excellent actually. This was now predominantly motorway driving with cruise control, and that would mean 9 liters per kilometer is 26 mpg US, 31 mpg UK. However, when you think more in realistic terms and so on, this can also be higher, of course, than something 10, 11 liters or some 20 mpg US, some 25 mpg UK when you drive more city or when you drive a little bit faster and so on. This was here the ideal consumption. This is not flickering in real life, by the way, only again just on camera. Yeah, I can make it a little bit less, yeah, like this. So it really depends on the camera setting, and then you can see it also here live. This then the map all over the screen, but you also have different views, like for example this here, assistance systems view, or this view is different, and then also the whole styling in the central infotainment change. Hey Mercedes.
How can I help?
What's the difference between Mercedes and BMW?
Super. Business is all about competition.
Hey Mercedes.
How may I help you?
Set temperature to 22 degrees.
Temperature is 20 degrees.
Not 22, but at least 20. Details to the screens. Here the temperature control always stays in the same place. That's good. However, it's just more effort to do it like this than with physical buttons. And here in the lower part, this one button, this is like this whole thing is one button. That's so weird. And here also a slider for the volume, for example. I think that really downgrades the otherwise fantastic interior indeed. Here the software, you can see here the Apple CarPlay integration, and the sound system here, Burmester sound system, is really amazing. When you pump it up really loud, yaw, and then also have good bass and so on, you really feel it in in your feet actually down there. This is so amazing, so a great sound system, really a big fan of it. Then you can go back to the Mercedes menu with the home screen. It looks like this, and the GPS is right here. And it's also, let's say, somewhat responsive enough. It also has good route guidance. I tested that yesterday on the motorway, so also had a good rerouting and so on. So I'm actually then happy with that. So most of the time I'll probably use the car internal GPS and then the Apple CarPlay system. Other interesting features are for sure here comfort, because there you can pick different massage, and the wave massage is my very favorite one. Also put it to intensive, and then it really goes like in these dots here from the top part, not sure if you can hear that on the microphone, to the lower part, and also really on the seating area. This is really amazing. And the ambient lighting, another favorite feature, of course, where you can really set the different colors and so on. You can also see then here on the top right there, red maybe, yes, it's, oh, there's pink style, yeah, it's more red here because of the AMG. Maybe you can also pick multicolor, then it has kind of dissolving into the right doors and so on and so on. And brightness, of course, always all the way up. Oh, and that's nice here, look at that. The visor, sun visor, is kind of double. You can fold down this, and then you have here and here actually. Yeah, including this annoying warning sign, but it's mandatory. In the lower area, you can slide this one open, adaptive cup holders, but they work for very big bottles. For taller bottles, they wobble then around these bottles, so not ideal. Then 2 USB-C chargers, smartphone inductive charging, but it's like way deep in there, so not the most practical solution. So in this case, then schmoozy's hidden there. And here's another area to put things, actually, like a microfiber towel. And then you can have this split opening here, 2 more USB-C charging, and also another inductive charging mat. Rear seating area also looks amazing. Same seat structure with the quilting. And then we also have the rear seat entertainment, but I'm not so sure about crash safety for these. Definitely better without them. And then there's also another tablet here in the middle part. However, you can get a 4-seater with a fixed middle console, or this one here. This is the 5-seater version, which has the possibility to make it 5 seats or then fold down this console. And at the inside of the rear passenger door, you can press this button, and then that front seat moves like this forward
It takes a while, it goes also a little bit more upward. For the driver then, it does block the view to the right front, so that is a safety issue indeed for the chauffeur. But, well, here, that's then all about the comfort right here. Look at that leg room that is building up there. And also then here, the footrest is right here for most comfort. And then it looks like this, so super relaxing. However, with one with the A6 or 6 you cannot fully stretch your legs. You need to be like 180 or 5'9". Then you can also really fully stretch your legs. Or another trick is to be like a little bit sideways. Then it's also better. But I mean, nevertheless, it's very nice to relax right here and do something else. Just have that enormous space. And then again, you can make it 5 to 4-seater and have another cubby hole right here with USB-C charging, and also in the lower part you have more USB-C and also HDMI control, so you can have some interface for the screens and so on. So this is a very cool atmosphere, and the rear cushions here, just again, amazing, super comfortable. My favorite feature of this vehicle actually. And now the rear ones here can also be heated. And as you can see here, there's ventilation for the rear seats and heating, and also at the same time, for what is that? Well, for example, it's winter time and you got wet in rain or something, then you can dry and be warm at the same time. And from here you can also control that rear shade. Well, on this tablet here in the rear, you can pick the massage functions for the rear seats. However, the wave massage for the front seats is not available here in the rear, but yeah, at least we have some other possibilities, and you can control right and left, and this is also really sophisticated. And you can also control it here, right there on the screen is also touch. And now welcome to Thomas's passive driving lounge, being chauffeured. Cornelius was so nice to do it here today, because we always take your feedback seriously. You want to see when we review a luxury sedan class, you always show me being driven. And of course the first thing I would do right here is activate this lying position, and just one press of a button right here. And I mean, but already the normal position is super comfortable here in that seat. This is of course always spectacular to see how it moves forward and upward and so on. It does block the view for Cornelius then a little bit to the right front, but yeah, here then it's about the VIP being chauffeured right here. And I was just driving in the Audi A8 in the rear, and I really have to say the seat here is way more plush. So even without this function here, of course in the A8L you also have this kind of chauffeur function, but the seating itself I feel is more comfortable here with the S-Class. And my shoes are gladly clean, so I can also put them on here. But yeah, even in the Maybach I cannot stretch my legs completely. So, but still, I mean, it's a very comfortable position here, really relaxing. And now being on the motorway zone, I could take out my, take out my smartphone and check some emails, or for example, or just relax a little bit. It's a little bit hot today. I can activate the seat cooling here. Ambient lighting is also followed right here, and I also have the shade right here. So, oh, that's the shade. It's the upper shade here, and then here I have the control for the rear shade behind me. That one, see here. Yeah, here we go. And I can also lower these shades here in the side windows. But yeah, actually to have some more privacy and a little bit less impact from the sun, that's of course a good idea. Middle console, I can fold down here for that screen, because when it's like this, I cannot reach the screen right there, without leaning forward all the way. So that's actually then a practical thing to have. So now I got the tablet running. I have basically all the functions mirrored. I have there also in the front. Then I can also activate the different massage forms. For example, here on the activating massage, and wow, that's really so relaxing. It's a very, very sophisticated massage. That's what I really fancy. So yeah, massage function is probably the thing that I would do most of the time in here with this tablet in my hand. Or maybe also change a little bit of the ambient lighting or so on from here. So at least from here, when you play around with the ambient lighting right here, then you're not distracted as the driver is, and then you can just enjoy the different colors here. I mean, these cushions here are so comfortable, and they can also be heated in the rear. That's of course another great comfortable feature.
Suspension-wise, also the S-Class has the most plush air suspension, I would say, if you also compare Audi A8 and BMW 7 Series. So yeah, I think for the rear passenger, the S-Class really leads it, because the other ones, BMW 7 Series and Audi A8, are more fun to drive yourself. But the S-Class is better when being driven. Trunk space is 550 liters or 12 cubic feet, and the length here is almost 120 in meters or 47 inches. And you see here, vertical wave for the cabin trolley is actually no problem. And loading things through actually just works via this middle ski hatch. You have to open it from the rear and like twice, and here like, hello. Oh, and then it stays open. That's a cool feature. Oh, and then through this ski hatch, you directly look through the infotainment system. Wow. That's an amazing perspective, isn't it? Just found out about that. Super interesting. Hey, welcome at night. And what a great song. What a great song. Gotta check this out here. Maybe watch a YouTube review. Review? Just Google it. Google it? YouTube search on YouTube. Yeah. So, but we want to experience the car, and of course don't want to get any copyright issues with the automatic recognition of songs and so on. This is original Thomas Driving Lounge here at night with the Mercedes S-Class S500, around 430 horsepower from this 3-liter inline 6-cylinder, and this also has mild hybrid technology here now. So when I'm on the brakes, this EQ charge meter goes up, and so I can regenerate some of the power back again. This helps the fuel economy, and you can drive this car actually, very efficient. So my best result for long-term motorway driving is indeed some 9 liters and more kilometers, which is then some 30 mpg. That's excellent for this kind of engine, for this kind of size. Of course, if you have more city traffic, then it's more going. Oh, look at that, the adaptive light, the digital light is already active. Oh, it's also illuminating the speed camera. Very dangerous at night, you cannot see it before. Wow, it begins here directly with spectacular action. You can see here how the how the left and right is illuminated, and then cars in front of me are being spared out, that they are actually not being blinded by the light. So that's a great feature indeed, and it's just done automatically, and we will more and more experience. We're going way through the dark into the countryside that we can see more of that light. And I mean, from both cameras, I mounted this camera here today a little bit more behind, that you can also see this area here to the right, how it looks so cool when it's illuminated at night, and even continue further onto the rear seating. This is actually one of my favorite features, both in the new S-Class and also in the Mercedes EQS, that they look so extremely stunning at night. This brings so much more emotion to it, and I just love driving this car at night. The standard air suspension is set on such a soft tone that you really still feel that's an air suspension. And then you put on your favorite songs, put on your favorite ambient lighting, and you can just really flow through the night, I would call it that way. It's really excellent. Steering input is also very natural, I like that. So you don't have to steer too much. It's not super progressive though, but it feels very natural. And here with the AMG line steering wheel, the car is indeed better to control and feels sportier just by this smaller size steering wheel. I really do prefer that. So that would be my number one reason to go for the AMG line, that you get this steering wheel. Both have the BS capacitive buttons on the steering wheel anyway, so then at least you can pick the sportier one and not the one with the, I always go with the famous slot. You heard me? Slot design. It also has a slot design here, this one, but the other one has a slottier design? Can you call it that way? Wow, that looks amazing now in this camera, right? Wow. I mean, I see the picture myself. Wow, this is slow. Then here, traffic light view, red traffic light. There is, you can see here the red traffic light. Because sometimes it can happen when you're standing, in a critical situation towards the traffic light, you cannot see it. Then you see it here on the screen. at first I was thinking like, this is a really lazy feature, but there are some situations where it is indeed really useful. When we're driving up here now, I can put it to the sport mode and we can also hear something more from the engine, but it's really, you know, the damping is really subtle and such a good insulation from the vehicle. I mean, you probably hear it. You almost hear nothing from the outside. That's just fantastic with this vehicle. And there are a lot of things we can play around with, especially at night here in the infotainment system. This always has to be said, you know, there comes now a big disclaimer. Do not do it while driving. I'm not a good example what I'm doing right now. I have some practice doing it. And I really try to focus still on the road. I mean, yeah, but it's always somewhat dangerous to play around with that screen. That's always the thing why I also prefer manual climate knobs. At least they stay in the same place here all the time. And I can show you when I'm changing the temperature here now. It's, you know, getting a little bit colder outside now, though it has been a warm and nice day. Here when I put it warmer now, we have this, I mean, it goes all the way into the doors. It looks so amazing. When I want it colder again, the same thing happens then with the blue light, no matter which light I have initially set it to. And this is still also one of my favorite emotional features. And it's not such a complicated move to program that, but it's such a great idea. So whoever had that idea, I mean, I know a lot of Mercedes engineers are always watching, so greetings to you also as well. Here and then they ask me about certain things I did in the review. I asked them actually about certain things they built. And so there's also a very good and interesting exchange, and also a way that when you write comments about this vehicle here, I can transport these comments through to the engineers and they also read it in the comments themselves. And so indeed it has, when you comment on this video, then it can really have an effect, for example, on the facelift of this vehicle, what can be made better and what needs to be corrected or something or improved and so on. And this is just fantastic that it works this way, you know, nowadays. And of course, everything also thanks to our great community we have here in Autogefühl, such, you know, positive and constructive feedback discussion here always. People who are really car enthusiasts enjoy the stuff we're doing here at this moment the same way as I do. That's why we are all here, because we share this common passion. That's what I also love about, you know, my job here, and especially with you guys in the community. Well, now we're all dark here. It looks so amazing, you know, this shot, and of course this as well. And here, now you can see once again the digital light. Now we have like full power, full throttle in the front, full light throttle. Wow, this goes so far, and I mean, you know, this reflective layers here on the signs. It reflects so much, and I almost say like it reflects too much actually. Now this hairpin corner that's coming ahead. That looks also really very well illuminated. See how there it builds up again. Wow. That actually, you seen that? There, it saved some parts out. Interesting. Maybe that's because of, it's maybe thinking like, oh, there's when something is reflecting, that might be a car or something. That could be. Wow, have you seen that? There were parked cars at the side of the roads, and the lights spared out the vehicles which were parked at the side of the road. That's super interesting, and you only experience that really when you do such an extensive night drive. And I really this time, you know, like took a lot of time with this vehicle, drove it almost like 1,000 kilometers now, that they could really share, you know, even more experience with you. We have almost full moon, so this is like a really moody night ride we have here. And we have the colors here for the ambient lighting, and we have also the brightness effect. And you can not tune it all the way up, or I can tune it all the way down. Look at that, how it looks like here. Look at that! I'm disappeared. And now you see, like, this is the huge difference. This would be the vehicle without any ambient lighting. And we know a lot of vehicles that do not have that.
Look at that, what the difference it's make. In like half, it's all like, wow, amazing. And let's see the difference. Full off. So I'm intentionally driving very slow now, just, for safety precautions. And then all the way up. Oh, no! Yeah, that's what happens. What happened there, Did I I have no idea what the... Okay, brightness, here we go again. Full off. And now, let's move it full on. Yeah. Energize. But, we have changed the color. So, monochrome colors. This is my, ocean blue is really... Oh, there's a multicolor, like this. So you can pick the individual. This is like, like a circus, Here you could also go, for example, for a green one, like this. Fits in when I'm driving a little bit slowly, more efficient. Maybe more on this spectrum here. I mean, it all looks somewhat amazing. Or more like pink. This looks, that's deer. Oh, sweet. A little one, actually. Very slowly now. I've seen the light here building up, so it jumped off the road. So especially like in nighttime, of course, we have to be even more precautious here in the countryside roads. Wow, this is really... There it is. I hope you can really see that very well on camera. How it sometimes closes and then builds up like a cascade once again to have the full lighting. This is really spectacular. And this looks also amazing. Or what I also really like is here this, some kind of purple color. I think this, this purple color always looks so, so special, that it would be something unique. That's, I think, the thing of that. So, or maybe like a little bit more in the bluish tone, like this one, This is more like a purple style. I think it also looks really amazing. And let's go to the multicolor mode. There you can see actually that you see you have here like a dissolve from the middle part, then through the outside parts, left and right. This looks also really, really spectacular. Yeah, I mean, you don't even know where to look at, like ambient lighting, infotainment screen, how the light is being built up and back again. When we have lanterns on the street, there it is, Then it goes back again, so you're like, okay, we're in like the rural side, there's lanterns, and maybe like people, other cars around. And there it is, lanterns are gone, full light throttle, automatically again, and this is really cool. And because it can really, take off some of the individual pixels from that, individual LEDs. And this one is even working here with this, with these micro mirrors, which can serve as projectors even. So in future scenarios, something can be projected onto the road for us, for example. You can so individualize the light that you're not blinding others. And I mean, I remember, especially like from the most recent Land Rovers, like or Range Rover Velar or something, with the automatic headlamps with high beam, the function was working, but it was blinding all cars all over the place. And I always got reactions like from people like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "Sorry, it's a car. It's to be done automatically." So I always had to deactivate that function in the Velar, because so many people were like, "Hey, what the hell are you doing? You're absolutely blinding us." And I was like, well, what are these? Okay, they're complaining because of the light. That was very interesting. So here we go now again. The light should build up. There it is. And then full light throttle. Meanwhile, we have other... Whoa! That looks fancy, like with the contrast to the top and the bottom. That looks really fancy. This one. Jungle green. Venice pink. I mean, this is also wow. And then driving with that one through Venice. Yeah, Malibu sunset. This is also really amazing, right? Really a way to be back in the States as well, as soon as Corona regulations allow it. Wow, and this is also really, I mean, I love this. I mean, when it's more multicolor,
it's even more spectacular. And let's just use it now, you know, because we're right here at the motorway, have it on multicolor, and we'll do it to sports mode. And why not do it sports plus, you know, for the sake of fun and this multicolor lighting. Let's go 50 kilometers an hour and accelerate it out. Let's go. That's 200, 125 miles an hour. Wow. And how silent the car is just amazing. That is just amazing. And how well the car is to control, and look how far we can see ahead with this light. That's really amazing. Sports plus mode here. Suspension is also a little bit stiffer. I have more control of the vehicle, and it's definitely one of the best silent cars on the road. So well insulated now on the brakes, and considering it's such a heavy car, still feels very good and controlled while braking. It is not the sportiest sedan, so BMW 7 Series or an Audi A8 do feel way sportier indeed, yes. So that's the question, what you prefer. Here in the S-Class, the special thing is that you still get this carpet-alike driving feeling. That's also, I think, a really cool thing to have. Malibu Sunset another time, like this. And then we have these energizing comfort features. This is also interesting. So they combine actually like the vents, climatization, and ambient lighting for driver. Or why is it separated? This is like refresh now. Then we also have the animation here in the screen, and I also feel like it's also using this scent machine, perfume machine, which can be quite annoying at times. Oh, that's like a vehicle fail. Now I have also this kind of perfume scent, and I also have a massage now, like a vibrating massage in the seat. Very interesting. So this is kind of to wake me up a little bit. Oh, and then the seat ventilation is also on. That's interesting. Wow, very cool function. So interesting to have these different schemes. And this is then really to like Thomas, don't sleep yet. Let's wake it up. I mean, we have almost midnight, so I really took this night ride as authentic as possible, joining me here midnight in the vehicle. It looks really cool with this animation here. And I'm not sure, can you see it on camera? The almost full moon. There's even sound here coming from that. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, maybe you can't see it, but it's really almost full moon, so this creates also this very special atmosphere here. So we've tested that one. Now here, exit of the motorway, and we'll soon get on it again. There's something sound like music happening here as well. Can you hear that? Can you hear that? So, and then warmth. Cozy warmth by means of heated seats and surfaces with yellow, whatever. What's it? Ooh. Now we get this one, and I get seat heating. And the traffic light view. Thank you. No, that's not part of it. So this animation now, heated seats, and I haven't seen. Have you seen if the temperature changed as well? I didn't pay attention to that, so maybe we can pay attention to that next time. Then we have vitality, provided by stimulating light and stimulating light. What's that supposed to mean? Let's see. Whoa. Interesting. Look at that. Oh, the light is changing. Indeed. That's interesting. I also have some sound feedback, and also the seat massage is active. Wow. Haven't ever tried all of these features yet. I mean, So, is that music copyrighted? The YouTube algorithm will know afterwards. I'll take the chance. That's also very interesting. So then, joy, relaxation and sunlight lift your mood. Ooh. They have really cool animations here, right, in the screen. That's cool. Still have some seat massage. But it's still so warm. I mean, just the short period of seat heating made it really warm. I have to put on the seat cooling now once again. So that was joy. Even more, well-being. Enhance your feeling of well-being using warmth and soft colors. Let's see. Different color change here. Different animation. Ooh. And also this moody music, just like very subtle in the background. And people riding this bus there probably look over and think like, what the hell is this guy doing? He's like playing games in his car or something. Well, we are kind of playing games, right? So, in a way. Oh, there's another scent, you know, like a. This really smells like a very expensive perfume. It's a nice scent, you know. So I'm not sure if it like would be annoying over time or something, but this is really, wow, very impressive. So this is kind of, you know, using technology in a nice and surprising way, you know, that they can combine all these features together there. This is really, you know, one of the things where you can say king of luxury here. Very interesting. Well, what about training? Exercise for relaxing muscles and activating or improving activeness. Okay. Muscle simulation.
Welcome to 10 minutes of muscle activation.
What? 10 minutes?
Small, subtle movements.
Really?
boost muscle
Now?
coordination and the health of your back.
But unavailable at current speed?
Interrupt the exercise as soon as the traffic situation requires.
Okay.
Carrying out the training exercises lies within your responsibility.
Yes, ma'am.
Select a straight posture for all exercises that follow.
Yeah, probably it's more like, you know, that we can see the content when the car is
Start with
staying.
shoulder movements. Move your right shoulder far back in circles. Your motion is restricted due to the fact that your hand is on the steering wheel.
Yeah, I
Keep
know.
your hand steady on the steering wheel.
Yes, ma'am. And
Make
can I
the
also do
move
acceleration?
Smaller and smaller. The smaller,
Goodbye.
more subtle movement.
Okay, I rather concentrate now on high-speed motorway driving at night, right? So that's the thing. But that's
Now
interesting.
Move your left shoulder far
Okay.
back in circles.
Yeah, I know. Okay. I said cruise control, but yeah, maybe like the workout is not the best thing to do now.
Then
So
make the movements
yes,
smaller and
yes, thank you. Goodbye. Tips for spontaneous exercise for various reasons.
Now move both shoulders together to the back. Your shoulder blades should almost
Let's go
touch.
back to vitality. That was cool. So now cruise control here on the motorway while enjoying the vitality. And the cruise control is holding me speed-wise, distance-wise, car in front of me, and also at higher speeds, really controlling if I'm going left or right, holding me very well here in the lane, and also with a very smooth process. Now there's a vehicle approaching that is even driving faster than me. How's it possible? Blind spot monitor, and oh, this will probably coast to the driver's lane. Yeah, realize it now. So we had to reduce the speed now. Wow, that music is now a little bit. Whoa. Woo! We're in a music concert. Well, you can. Well, it's good that you can actually adjust it, you know, and you can also turn it off. Then here at the steering wheel. And good thing is also, like one click on this slider is muting the volume, and that's actually it. Wow, I mean, this has been a nice experience here at night, and I could do this for hours and hours. And just let me know if you really like this special content here at night. Daytime driving with even more car features, normal car features, so to speak, is coming up right now. But tell me in the comments, please, if you like this night drive nighttime driving special. And if you want to see that with more cars, and if yes, then with what vehicles do you want to see these night rides here? And if we should make them separate or if we should include them in the review, let me know what you think. And wow, this has been really an immersive experience together with you guys. Now let's switch on the lights. Welcome to the German motorway. Now at day sports mode. We are at 100 kilometers an hour, and let's see. Club, that's 160 kilometers an hour. That went quite quick. The engine not that notable actually, so rather subtle. The 6-cylinder we have here in the S500, but still quick acceleration. And in the sports mode we also have some more feedback from the suspension, so it gets a little bit stiffer. Still, even in the sport mode, the car is set in comfort, and wow, I mean, this is so silent here. 170 kilometers an hour and you hardly hear anything, so the noise insulation is probably the best in the industry, or among the best in the industry. That is so cool. And I really like this AMG steering wheel. As for the steering input, the looks, and how you can touch it from the from the form, from the size, and so on. Yeah, I think capacitive buttons, they still get on my nerves, also when using the cruise control and so on. Here at the moment, road is blocked, so I can just as well use the cruise control, and it immediately also sets in with the lane keeping assist, and you're supposed to keep your hands on the steering wheel here with the level 2 system. Level 3 system is available now with the S-Class and allowed in some markets. And this is really interesting. We have an EQS driving review with an autonomous level 3 demonstration. That's very, very interesting. But you can see, didn't even touch the steering wheel. Car is being held in the lane. Very impressive. And how smooth it is, not like wobbling around and stuff, and still not saying I have to get I get the information, and that even went away without me doing anything. So usually it's capacitive here, steering wheel, so I just have to touch it and then that's it. Here, like this. There we go. And the warning message is gone actually. So very impressive how the assistance systems work here in this all new S-Class, and the whole driving dynamics, the whole driving feeling, the calmness in the interior, this has even more been improved. And my point once again is the user interface is worse than before. Everything else, driving wise and so on, is better than before. Yeah, it's still some kind of a trade-off for sure, but I mean, driving wise, the vehicle still amazes me. This is such a cool ride. Once again, the long wheelbase version, or the US version V223 we are driving here now, so especially relevant for all US viewers. And this is globally the S-Class, so they develop the S-Class from this version, from the long wheelbase one, and then cut something out for the short wheelbase, basically. Usually it's the other way around when driving, when developing short and long wheelbase vehicles. Here they really start with the long wheelbase. Interesting, by the way, that I see in the head-up display like a mark where the car in front of me is, but I wonder, what is this kind of over technology? Why do I need like a line, a digital line following the car in front of me? I see that car, but I don't get it really. That's, I think, just playing around with technology without having much sense in it, I think, Well, the car literally drives itself. So this is also a reason you can relax pretty much here, especially on long motorway rides. And this soft cushion is just really amazing. At the same time, you always have enough power reserves also to do some nice accelerations, as we've shown to you. And now it gets also interesting because we'll switch motorways, so from one to another. And motorway changing in Germany is, to me, more fun even than using the unlimited high speed we have at some motorways. Not at all, and also not really long parts, usually not, because these motorway changes, they are always connected with some nice curves and bends and so on. This is a lot of fun actually. So here we go. Brake feeling, by the way, also very decent. You do feel the weight of the vehicle in the corners, that's for sure. Can't deny that it's a big car. So if you think about, for example, S-Class versus E-Class, then the E-Class will give you more driving dynamics, and meanwhile, with all the technology packed in. So this has been a scheme over the last few years, you know. So often have we seen that the small cars already get now what the big cars are, even like really down below to an A-Class or something. So more and more features are not especially unique anymore to the very, very big segments. Yeah, that indeed speaks against going for the high spec model. I mean, some things are newly introduced, like the augmented reality head-up display and so on, and screens in the middle and some. But again, yeah, controlling that screen or the temperature while driving is really doubtful. What's not doubtful is that we still have a good acceleration, so couldn't get so fast here in the corner, but at least now. To cancel that acceleration, leave that SUV by. Yeah, but you see here, changing between accelerating and braking again is really decent. And now we're already at 200 kilometers an hour, or 125 miles an hour. I mean, especially our US fans must be like, this guy is somehow nuts because we're at 200 kilometers, 125 miles an hour. Yeah, 90% of the world's population have never driven at that speed, and this guy, it's Germany, it's business as usual. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it still is. There will probably be a speed limit coming ahead in Germany, and there's big discussion about it, of course, and I always say you have to differentiate between what you like driving yourself and what is actually better for society to do. Yeah, and that doesn't have, to be equal always, Here at higher speeds also, when you shake it a little bit up, So, yeah, you feel the air suspension is still set on a soft tone, even if you are in a sports mode. So you feel the car is moving somewhat, but that's also, let's say, okay, because it differentiates this vehicle. The S-Class, and especially when you go to the comfort driving mode, when you have some waves inside here, inside the road, then it really goes like floating, like without being too exaggerated or something. But when you would have an Audi A8 or a BMW 7 Series, for example, they rather have the sporty approach also in the base version, and the S-Class is more, once again, the luxury comfort focus with a rather floating air suspension. And I think as for air suspension, that's good, because I enjoy, for example, like the BMW adaptive suspension is one of the best suspensions there is in their big vehicles, and you don't need an air suspension then actually. But when you go for an air suspension, I think the Mercedes approach is cool, that you still tell the customer, hey guys, this is an air suspension. You feel it because you're like flying in the air. That's, I think, a cool approach, and it has to be that way. With the AMG models by Mercedes, they still pick the air suspension nowadays and then make it so stiff that is that an air suspension? Wait a minute, that's even worse in comfort than an air suspension. What is this? I think that's totally unnecessary. Why would you do that? Then you can go for another, normal steel spring or whatever, or make it adaptive dampers or something. So here, once again, really relaxed feeling on the motorway, and you really can have both performance and also then the relaxed feeling. And I think also the engine here is a good price performance. It will be the entry-level engine in the US once again, and the V8 will have worse fuel economy and will just add more weight to the vehicle. That's the thing, So, and this is already a heavy vehicle, 2.1 tons. And try to keep the weight down, then try to keep it lower, or at least not push it even further, So because that's the thing, also when you compare it to, let's say, like go for an E-Class and S-Class, you have some more luxury features here, but you feel just that the car is indeed heavier. That's then the main difference. So controlling that thing here while driving, the best thing is then to use the voice control, because stuff's getting overcomplicated here. For example, hey Mercedes,
How can I help?
start wave massage.
I'm starting the wave massage for you.
Thank you, so kind of you. So, there it goes. Oh, no, that's the music. So there it goes with the wave massage, and wow, this massage program is, the wave massage is the best one to me actually, because it really goes like, you know, like in these dot waves and across the whole body, and even also, you know, on the seating surface there. And not all massage do that, and so that really keeps you fit also during long motorway rides, and I really like that. So let's switch here to the middle lane, because there will be some other guys probably want to go faster than allowed, and the good thing for us for that is we can show the blind spot monitor, and there's a Mercedes GLE coming up, and then we can also see the blind spot monitor in the side mirror. Here we go, there's the red triangle, and when I also hit the turning indicator, I also get the acoustic warning and also the triangle. What is this? Okay, that happened. Whatever. It's a new GLE generation. You can see it in the tail lamps. You know, they are more. Oh, it's direct competitors. Mercedes GLE and BMW X5. So both, of course, great ride, and you should check out the reviews here on Autogefühl of these two, definitely. Yeah, people are taking looks here. You know, we see it from time to time at the new S-Class. Well, but from the rear, you have to see now all the Mercedes sedans look kind of the same now at the rear, so it's not that much, you know, uniquely standing out or something. Yeah, digital instruments, by the way, so I have a clear view. The only thing is that I'm not sure if I'm like super special as for my torso height or something. I think not, but I tend to keep the steering wheel lower because, you know, I'm very well in control and not doing like this, you know. And also, when you want to drive a longer way but still want to, you know, have a good control of steering wheel, you can use the left armrest here and the right armrest, and then you have like stable rest. You can keep the steering wheel straight and in control, and when you want to attack, you just lift your arms and there we go, you know. So, and for that reason, I rather keep the steering wheel a little bit lower, and then the upper part of the instruments are a little bit locked, and also there are these infrared sensors in the front of the screen saying like this, are you tired mode? And the screen is also telling me like, move the steering wheel up, Thomas, I can't see you. Wait a minute, that's actually good, you know, privacy mode, right? So leave me alone with your something, I'm watching you. Just put the steering wheel, like, you know, when you are in front of your laptop and you use a sticker to shut the cam off actually, so no one, while you're doing your Zoom video conference, can see that you're sitting in front of your desk in, you know, just in shorts or something. So once again, it's one of the best motorway vehicles there is. So comfortable, so relaxing, so silent. That is once again really top notch. And look at that ambient lighting. You can even see it at daytime when it's a little bit darker. I just love that ambient lighting thing. The only thing that comes above that is the Mercedes EQS. There, the even, you know, the ambient lighting looks even more kick-ass. Did I just say that? Welcome to a spectacular panoramic view here in Norway. Thomas with Autogefühl and the Audi A8 facelift. Let's take a look at all the changes. Really impressive to have the car right here, and let's take a look at that massive front grille that has been updated. This is now the base A8, so to speak, and you have this L form, these fins in the front grille. Overall, they want to have the car standing more upright, more present, but not that sporty. Actually, they said, yeah, maybe it was a little bit too sporty. What's your take on that? And here you can also see that the lamps, they now have the daytime running light in the top part here, and they also have this new cut in. However, if you want it sportier looking again, you can also go for the S-Line. This one then has a different front grille, has a more wider stance, also a black frame around, and you can top it up even with some black Audi rings and black mirror caps if you go for this dark package. Here, what we have here, however, is rather the more elegant design that again stresses the the upright side of the vehicle, also with new accentuations right here. The headlamp technology, by the way, it starts with LED as base, then optional matrix LED. In some markets like Germany, it's already standard with the matrix LED, and then optional, the matrix LED with a digital matrix function. There are some micro mirrors, and then you also can have projections on the road, like light field on the motorway that signals your line, but it doesn't have to do anything with the high beam range or something. And we also have a nighttime driving part in our review here today. And we also take this one here to the spectacular Atlantic Ocean Road. And no, I never wanted to be a weather reporter. And yes, James Bond was also recently here. And the lighting features are really super spectacular. That's why I took some night shots for you. For example, with the turning indicators, both in the front and in the rear. And also a very interesting welcoming or goodbye light show. You get that one with the matrix LED special form then. And even more so if you have projections then when opening or closing the vehicle, depending on if it's a wall or maybe it's on the ground. And you can even pick different schemes for that. One of my favorite features are these small Audi rings in here, and even more so better visible at night, that they're really also illuminated. The A8 features a standard air suspension, also some special features. For example, like this, you see that the car is pumped up. They can easier have an access into it without crouching down. Yeah, it's a comfort function. And when I close the door, you can see that the car automatically raises down again. That the car raises down again. Let's see. There we go. You can see, slowly. Here we go. Then that takes some time, but when I open the door again, that goes quite quickly. See here, really spectacular indeed. Quite cool feature, isn't it? This is, by the way, also used in case of a crash, in case of a side impact. Then the car is also detecting the oncoming crash and is going up to protect inside, that you face a harder area of the chassis. And yeah, the question is, what about, the one that is crashing into you? Not so sure if it's so good for that one. The color here for today, by the way, is called Manhattan Gray, and it's a very elegant metallic color. We also have in that S-Line vehicle the Daytona Gray Matte. Even more spectacular, of course, because of that matte effect. This matte Daytona Gray is also a completely new color for the vehicle. Here we have 20-inch wheels today, overall 18 to maximum of 21-inch wheels for summer tires. We have winter tires here today, that's why 20-inch is the maximum. And next to the base air suspension, you can also opt for this predictive air suspension. That is then foreseeing what's coming on the road, lifting the car up 5 centimeters or 2 inches in front of a speed bump. And then basically the speed bump is being sucked in by the suspension. The car stays upright, you stay upright, just the suspension moves underneath you. Really cool effect. In the rear, you also can get a rear axle steering. That would be standard for the S8. That means that the rear wheels turn in the opposite direction than the front wheels, faking a shorter wheelbase, so to speak. And talking about wheelbase, this is the A8L. Worldwide the most sold model. So yeah, more than 3/4 of all A8 are sold with long wheelbase. That means 5 meters 30 or 209 inches. The short wheelbase version, which is the bestseller in Germany, for example, is then a little bit shorter. It's really, this area that you have a little bit more legroom in the rear. But in the US, for example, in Canada, also in China, just the long wheelbase versions are being sold. Ooh, in the rear, we have new OLEDs, organic LED. No, they're not alive, but, well, are they alive? A little bit, right? Here, so you see this proximity sensor. So when I go away and then I approach again, or maybe if I would be a vehicle like this, you see here how the middle part is filled out. And this kind of starts this communication, the car with the outside world. On the long run, this will be a thing in the automotive industry, that via lighting and so on, cars communicate with each other or maybe communicate with pedestrians and so on. Very interesting feature indeed. And also this, this signature here on the inside, depending on which driving mode you are in, it also switches. For example, in the dynamic mode, it looks different. And the organic LED are indeed also standard, so you do not need the matrix LED to have that one. Really interesting. And once again, in the dark looks even cooler, also with the turning indicators, for example. And also, once again, when you have that light show, even more impressive when it's really, really dark. But very cool here in the rear, A8L. And then this is the 60 TFSI. This naming is always a little bit complicated. Soon talking more about the engines. And the quattro all-wheel drive means it's still here the real one, the permanent all-wheel drive. 40-60 base setup, so you always have a rear wheel bias. In the lower part, gladly, the Autogefühl fake exhaust police has no job here today, no alert, because this is a nice graphic here. It looks once again a little bit different in that S-line vehicle we have for you today, but no fake exhaust. The real exhausts are on the on the lower part of the vehicle, but this way, why not? What do you think about the redesign here of the A8? Tell me in the comments. And now let's move on to the engines. As for engines, today we have the 4-liter V8. And when you drive it in a very economic way, you can score some 10 liters on 100 kilometers, 23 mpg US, 28 mpg UK. This one here with 460 horsepower and around 4.5 seconds in the acceleration figure. In the S8, this same engine is then spec'd with 571 horsepower and 3.8 seconds in the acceleration. Other than that, the worldwide most important engine is the 3-liter V6 turbo petrol engine. And then there's also a 3-liter TDI, which is more, prominent in Europe and especially in Germany. Of course, it is changing bit by bit because the plug-in hybrid version of the 3-liter V6 petrol engine is gaining more importance. This is the car key, still the classic version, but I really like it. And then when I open the door, you see it has this function again with raising it up. I showed you earlier. Ooh, it's a pretty cool feature, right? And then you have two different door closing things I need to show you. First of all, what about door closing sound? Really solid, awesome. But in that way here, when you have that option, of course you would use the soft close mechanism. So like this, and then very gently. Magic. One more time, a little bit closer maybe here. It's both for the rear and the front doors. Here, look at that. There we go. And then the interior itself, you can see here, nice Alcantara inserts. They are also new. And then you have here a matte wood insert. I would definitely pick this one here. Feels really nicely and looks also very warm and cozy. For small bottles, there's some space here in the inside of the doors. And then that steering wheel here with these gaps right there. And they explicitly sticked here with the turning wheels on the steering wheel, also for the volume. They watched Autogefühl, read our comments, and they saw you do not like #capacitive BS. So no capacitive buttons here for that A8 facelift. They really intentionally stick with that, and I think that's a great decision. Then the digital instruments, Audi Virtual Cockpit, here with the map mounted at the moment. Soon also more details to that. And then the seats, the different seats available. These are the most comfortable ones actually from the seat form. There are sportier ones which have also more bolstering at the side. And see also with some perforation. Sadly, animal skin only. They did not bring any animal skin alternative here in that facelift. That's really a let-off. And BMW showed it with the 5 Series facelift, for example, that you can have a great high-grade leatherette also for luxury class cars. And Audi is going in that direction. It's inevitable that they also skip the animal skin. That's basically decided in all the automotive industry. But here in this segment, they are actually late to the party indeed. However, the seat form is really comfortable, super relaxing. And here also a lot of headroom left with 1.86 or 6'1". It's also very beautifully done here with the bright Alcantara ceiling. This brings so much coziness in the vehicle. And since it's a little bit dark today here, well, winter in Norway, that's how it is. You guys know it. All our friends from Scandinavia. Here also with a nice headliner ambient lighting. Really love that. Of course, I've set it to Thomas Blue. Different colors are available. When you look at the whole ambient lighting at night, it is even more impressive. That's why I always try to bring as many night shots as possible, when we have the chance to do that. You can also get the sportier steering wheel here, by the way, in the S-Line, then with some perforations at the side. And also in the S-Line here with carbon fiber inserts, also available. These are the sportier seats as stamping and also with some more side bolstering, shoulder area and also at the side. Interior overview, beautiful clean lines, more Bauhaus style, German style. Here with this, matte aluminum style. A lot of black panel lacquer, that's not so much to my liking actually. Interesting that these two screens, 10.1 and 8.6 inch, they play together somewhat. For example, when you are in the GPS mode and then you have the GPS search, then you have the keypad here in the lower area, the keyboard. And when you're in the normal home menu, then this is a temperature control either here with sliding or then with pressing. And for a touchscreen temperature solution, it's the best one that is available. I still prefer manual knobs. For example, the volume knob is still manual or for the passenger. But for this, this solution, it's fairly easy how you can also control the bend strength, for example. And when you, by the way, use a two-zone AC and it's changed here, you have this, secret finger gesture like this. Seen that here? So this is a different temperature, and then I kind of like swipe it in like this, and then the temperature is synced again on the other side. Then automatic shifting like this, easy solution. Here the adaptive cup holders, good quality, extreme great build quality everywhere you can see. This is then here, for the armrest. You can also put it, up like this, or if you want to have it fixed, then you have to hit this, this button on the back side, and then you can slide it up like this. Then it's high and it's also fixed, and then you can also open it. And then there's inductive charging pad, but you have to put it like here, and also the cable connection 2 times USB-C now. And indeed, these are my favorite virtual instruments because you can change the view to a more classic one, have the map a little bit bigger like this, and you can also change the middle content. Sadly, it's not yet possible to have the CarPlay map or something in the middle part there. And this is also the night view. I'll also show you more of that in our nighttime driving part. And the head-up display is really clear to read, always a great option, also with some GPS directions. Then here in the infotainment system, this is really interesting, you have the drive select. There, for example, you can see that also when you are in the dynamic mode, the air suspension lowers, and also at a certain speed it goes down, for example, and in the auto mode it really adjusts depending on the driving situation. The overview menu here is actually quite simple and easy. I really like this version of the infotainment system. And the GPS map here, you can also have the satellite view. You can also deactivate it if you think it's a better overview. Beautiful Norway here, close to the coastal line as well. Here, well, what is not coastline in Norway? And then here, Apple CarPlay or Android Auto integration looks like this. And we also have the optional sound system in here. Bang & Olufsen, and it's really great sound here. Wow, great surround sound, and there are interesting settings here. Let's take a look at that. So when we go to settings and then sound, and here the B&O sound settings, and in this case I rather tend to lower the bass maybe a little bit, but here it's actually cool to put bass and subwoofer a little bit higher, because at the same time you can have the surround level to maximum and 3D sound to high. And then it's really like great surround sound all around, but it sounds less bass heavy then. So I found the best setting is really put 3D sound and surround level all the way up, and then also increase a little bit the bass in the subwoofer, and overall this is then really like club atmosphere. Welcome to this rear executive seating, really a cool position to have here. And since this is the A8L, or would be the standard one for our guys in the US and so on, you have more legroom in the rear, of course, tons of legroom. There are these nice footrests here. There you can just have a more relaxing position for your feet. They are indeed just, like loosely adjustable like this, but you can also just put them out, no problem. And here you also can have this function that you, press this button, but you have to press and hold it. And then you see here my seat goes a little bit forward, also more in the back with the backrest, and then the co-driver seat goes forward. These screens here, the cat caught a little bit of rain. These screens here are, by the way, also new, so new screens for the rear entertainment. And then you can see here, meanwhile, the seat is going all the way forward like this. Also, the screen is adjusting then, that I have a proper angle. And then there is this calf rest. And yeah, recently I had an interesting comment. Someone saying like, "Oh, Thomas, I'm really happy that you take off your shoes before putting your feet on there, unlike some other car journalists who were raised by wild boars." Not saying who it was who was mentioned in the comment, but maybe you guys know who put that comment. Really interesting. So, that's really cool. And actually, you have a lot of space. And even here with 1m86 or 6'1", I can have a very relaxing position here. And last time, remember, I was in the S-Class, which on the one hand feels a little bit more comfortable from the seats themselves. But here, this lying position is, to me, even better in the A8 indeed. That's very interesting. And even more interesting is that this area where my feet are at the moment, it can be heated, and there's also a massage function for it. This is really interesting. You have this middle part here where you can then here adjust the back part of the seat, for example, or here slide it forward even more. And then when you go to seats here, sometimes it takes the time, then you can, whoa. Yeah, you always have to protect it against the fingerprints. You have here, for example, the seat heating. This is really cool. Here you can adjust the climate functions. And then back to seats here. Yes, please wait. Yeah, there we go. Seat adjustment, massage. Want to have massage. And then, for example, I love this wave massage because it really goes from the top part to the bottom and back again. You can have these different massage functions here, shoulder, activation, and so on. And now there's the trick. So if you're an A8 owner, I can explain to you how that works. Here, this is for your seat, or for my seat I'm sitting at the moment. And then you have to click basically on the passenger seat, because in the passenger seat, you have here also turned forward. There is, you can pick your shoe size. Yeah, of course, L, shoe size for me. And then you have this foot massage. It goes in wave or in circles, and you can start it. And it's really hard to pick it up on camera. But, this back part of the seat is now moving, and you can feel it that it's, going underneath the seat. So now I'm holding this microfiber towel in front of the seat, because that way you can better see how the back part of the seat is moving when you look at that brighter structure. So again, it's really hard to pick it up on camera, but maybe you can see that this microfiber towel is moving a little bit, because here that back part of the seat now. Here at the moment it's coming more towards this upper area, and then it's moving, for example, back here in this lower area, and this is now wider a little bit, and then here you can see it goes inward again, and so on. It's a really cool feature indeed, very exclusive. Here the controls, seat heating, seat cooling also works simultaneously when you're, for example, wet in winter times and you get in the vehicle and want to be dried and warmed at the same time. And then here, this is then the heating for the foot area. So indeed, now what I have now is a combination of a foot massage and a heating indeed of this area there where I have my feet. So this is really amazing. So my feet are warm now and are being massaged. Here, by the way, so my space underneath, inductive charging pad for your smartphone, 2 USB-C chargers now. And then we have, well, there's no champagne box here today. This would be just like reaching through the trunk. So there's like, this ski hatch basically. So then also with a nice wood cover right here. And you can also fold this whole thing up here. Then you have the cup holders here, and you have also, real power socket. Don't do that at home, kids. I was, going a little bit too deep in there with my fingers. So, but this is also accessible when it's not folded up. The thing that is only accessible when this one here is folded up are the tables, and you can fold them out like this, and a little bit more towards me. And then you can also close this one again. And it also has this lip here, for example, for your laptop or something. You can also change it a little bit in the angle. So you can actually work here quite well. Put the laptop right here, had the foot heating and massage. That's a really nice workstation here, isn't it? I'm gonna think about this. And by the way, if you move that seat back here in that normal position, it just looks cool when things are moving inside the vehicle. And this actually quite quickly, comparing it to the S-Class, this one goes way faster. I have the impression. Here we go. Oh, need to secure this one so the seat can move further. Yeah, there we go. Now we are back in that normal position. Well, about that trunk area, let's take a look. This is a channel where we also measure the trunk, and this is here 1 meter in width or 40 inches. And you can see also my luggage. Yeah, these are my 2 Corona stickers. These means like for yesterday and for today, Corona test negative, by the way. Yeah, just some details here for that driving event. Yeah, this is my lunchbox. Yeah, and then the length is 1.20 meters or some, that's 1.20 meters or some 46 inches. And you can see here I also have this ski hatch here. And yeah, has anyone tested that actually? Not sure. Because here when I use the ski hatch and load things through, you can easily go, distance here 2 meters or 80 inches, the full stick, and you're not even through the front seat. So you can have some very long skiers, but nowadays most people use short skiers or like these Bigfoot skiers. So yeah, not really that necessary actually. So you can see very, very usable. And here the height, this is maybe also crucial, is about 50 centimeters or 20 inches. Welcome to Thomas's luxury driving lounge, or in this case, A8L rally driving lounge, because we're here on this B road, a little of gravel road in Norway, and this is super spectacular because here the air suspension with all its comfort can play out its advantages, and this is a really uneven gravel road and it feels like nothing. It's super comfortable still, 20-inch wheels. And the cool thing about the A8 in general is it is a sporty vehicle. It is long, it is very luxurious, but it still feels sporty to drive. That's the cool thing about. And indeed, I prefer the A8 and the BMW 7 Series to drive myself over the Mercedes S-Class, because A8 and 7 Series are more fun to drive. The S-Class has this more like this ship-alike, very soft air suspension setup. And here I think they really have found a great compromise. It does deliver you a great comfort, but it does deliver you sporty driving fun at the same time. Again, if you more want this more heavy, soft feeling, then the S-Class is something more for you. And what about when I put it in dynamic mode? And you remember 4.5 seconds is the acceleration figure here for this 4-liter V8. And now I accelerate out of this corner at this wet ground. We have the all-wheel drive, rear wheel bias, 40-60 fashion. What will the car do? Let's see. Wow. Holy moly. Wow. I mean, great power definitely. The thing is really, wow. I mean, you could really feel that super traction. I mean, it's very slippery here on this asphalt. But then with the all-wheel drive, 460 horsepower, so much power at the same time, no wheel span at all, and you could see the steering wheel was perfectly stable and it was really flooring it out. So this is really the thing about this classic all-wheel drive. It can bring the power to the ground so well. And of course, this then, you might not hammer the throttle all the way through when it's like snowy or icy or something. Just be gentle with the throttle, but it shows how well it also performs on slippery surfaces. So I always tend to, that's why I also drive really fast in our tests on the German Autobahn, for example, when we're allowed to. Because, these extreme tests, so to speak, they show then how the car performs at these, extraordinary levels, so to speak, And in general, this feeling here is, I can stress, is one of the best cars to drive at all, from the driving feeling. So I also experienced that in the Audi A8. There we have a special German Autobahn driving part where I could also floor it out. It's a very impressive episode as well. You should tune into that at a later stage. There you can see more about the high-speed driving. It is such a flawless driving experience. So I think what the drive concerns, flawless is really the thing. We can go back to the auto mode, then we have even more comfort, and from the assistant systems there's a nice blind spot monitor integrated in the side mirror, adaptive cruise control, adapts the speed, and it also holds the car in a lane. Here at the moment it's a little bit tricky because it's not a motorway, and there's the car is a little bit irritated, like where are the side lines, So this is then not the ideal solution for that, but on the motorway the system is again working very, very well. On the motorway, that's also where it's reserved for. You also have these digital mirror functions where you have like a light carpet in front of you signaling like that's your lane. But I think the usage of this system is somewhat limited, so you don't really need that option actually. And now we're driving one of the most scenic roads in the world, the Atlantis Vein, the Atlantic Ocean Road or Atlantic Highway, up here at the Norwegian Atlantic coast. And today is really harsh weather, a lot of wind, and even more spectacular. Yeah, oh, and thanks to my cameraman today, it's really tough when filming in this weather on the outside. Wow, and I mean, a lot of small bridges here. It's not too long, this road overall, but here when it's so harsh and windy on the outside and the salt water is going all over the road in some places, this can really happen here. And you here in this warm and cozy cabin, everything is soft and relaxed and comfortable. This is really something, and also looking here at the digital instruments and seeing this road that really goes, I mean, it's even in the dark, in this dark or night mode, because it's so dark on the outside that the light sensor catches it and makes it actually darker. Really, really interesting. Having here the air suspension in the auto mode, and once again, really flying on that road, super cool. Steering, by the way, is super precise. Yes, it's comfortable and it's easy to steer. Yet again, there's no dead zone area, and you can also steer it in a very sporty way. And yeah, the bridge that is coming ahead there, this is one of the most spectacular ones, and you also see that the water is about to spill over the road here. So I left some space to the car in front of us now, that you can see the road very, very well. There are different viewpoints here also. You can park at the side of the road and then take a stroll around. Best, of course, in good weather, but yeah, the thing is, when you have such a harsh weather, this bridge is really insane. Look at that. You're literally driving up to the sky, and left and right, there's just the ocean. Wow, really cool thing to enjoy. And here, having that long wheelbase, it also brings more, even more calmness to the whole driving experience. So, and it doesn't feel less agile than the short wheelbase version, because of the rear axis steering, and especially when we're here at slower speeds, the rear wheels turn in the opposite direction, and that kind of fakes a shorter wheelbase. And this is really easy to ease the car around then. Of course, the short wheelbase version will be a little bit more agile, but for example, when I'm steering here, look at that 90-degree corner, 90-degree turn of the steering. That's really easy to do. And for example, when I'm easing this car here around in that parking lot, you can see about the turning circle. And here, now I'm turning all the way in. Rear wheels also go around, and you can see here, although this is a huge vehicle, I could easily do this 180 turn here. Well, in the middle of the way, I changed positions, because it wouldn't be a true luxury sedan review if I wouldn't take off my shoes, be in the back seat, and are being driven. So, and now I mount the camera in a way that it should fit, that it actually, the seat passes the camera, including the microphone receiver mount. That's always, yes, works exactly. This is really spectacular to see. I already prepared the seat control here. This is so cool to have it while driving. Wow, and I mean, oh, my socks should be, properly. Whoa! Yeah, this is such an amazing atmosphere here. And now I also put on the seat massage once again. Yes, my favorite wave massage, of course. And then, meanwhile I get some practice to pick the other seat in the front then big shoe size, wave massage also for my feet. Yeah, massage for my feet is starting, and then I also want to have the feet heating. And sometimes it's a little bit hard to find. There it is. So now seat heating and feet heating. That's cool, right? And I think I could drive like this all day probably. Usually I always prefer to drive a car myself, because I'm a car driver, I'm a car enthusiast just like you, and I want to drive the cars. And this is really one of the very, very rare cases where I would say I would really also enjoy being driven for a longer period of time. I mean, really being here all the way, stretch and relax, foot massage, back massage, heated back part of the seat, and then the beautiful landscape here on the outside. Wow, the water is really high today. So last time I was here, there's also another video from the VW Touareg PHEV, where we also drove this road here, also with some great drone shots. Some of them I reused today as well. Wow, I mean, the water is so high that looks so amazing. And indeed, also in the rear, the comfort is superb, also from the suspension. Sometimes you have vehicles which have more comfort near the front axle. Here also you feel that this air suspension comfort also accounts for the rear axle. So everything is evened out very, very well. This is then the big difference, you know, when you're driving in the front yourself. The difference between A8 and A6 is not that extremely huge. You can also get the A6 with an air suspension, and it's really, really... Maybe we just turn around and drive the same road again. So, James? Yeah, okay. Yeah, James is all right with that. He's not really called James. But did I tell you that one funny story? There was one event a couple of days back, and a couple of years ago, actually. Yeah, years and days, whatever. My brain is also, meanwhile, I'm getting old. So there was this event where I was being shuttled, and I was getting into the vehicle, and I just said like, hey James, how are you? Well, thank you, James. And then he was turning around and was like, how do you know my name? He just happened to be called James, just by instance. Yeah, and then we start this discussion here on Autogefühl, like, in which country how is a chauffeur called in your country, you know? And then the Korean viewer said, you know, they're called that way, or the French viewer said like, was it Jacques? I think in French. So all the countries was writing like, this is how a chauffeur is typically called in our country, you know. But yeah, but James is probably the typical chauffeur name, right? So every James watching here, or Jims or Jimmys, greetings to all you guys. And now back again in the Atlantic Ocean Road. It's really a short route, you know, but it's so beautiful and so great to enjoy here. Yeah, I can just say. Sometimes I was thinking like, yeah, the S-Class is better in the rear chauffeur comfort, you know, because the seats are maybe a little bit more plush and so on. And that might be the case, but this leg extension, I feel that it's somehow better done here in the A8. You know, when you scroll back to our S-Class reviews, also with the long wheelbase, or even the Maybach version, the feet solution here, or the foot solution, I don't know if it's singular or plural in that case, is to me really, really well done. You know, that's the thing. It's really too bad that Audi did not offer any animal skin alternative here for that vehicle. Otherwise, I mean, I have so much fun driving this vehicle here. Yeah, maybe I would go for one if there would be an animal skin alternative. But yo, Audi guys, you're listening to this? Change it. At least for the next generation. I'm holding you accountable. Yeah, I will enjoy my time here, definitely. Really great atmosphere, great chauffeur ride. But what's still missing is our nighttime driving experience, which will also be amazing. So welcome to this night driving part. I have activated the high beam here with the matrix LED with the micro mirror option, this digital light. And you see here that left and right of the road, the high beam is active. This, you know, this forest, left and right of the road, let's call it that way, is totally illuminated. You can see it right there. It's almost as it would be day. But the car in front of us, this small truck, now also cars facing us, here is not blinded. Now it's building up again. This is really interesting. So you see the high beam really belongs to the car in front of us. It's left and right is illuminated, but the car itself is not illuminated, and so they are not blinded. And once again, I think there should be the next car facing us. You see these reflections from the poles on the left side maybe as well, and then they will be gone when the next car is coming, you know, in the opposite direction. This is really, really impressive. So you can very well see already from the normal light, and then when the high beam is active, of course, even more so. Then when the high beam is active, then this effect of the digital light is playing the major role actually, and even more so, of course, when you're just alone on the road. And then you also have this night driving assistant. I can activate it here in the digital instruments. And when there would be, for example, also animals or people running across the street, there would be an additional warning, and I can also see them a little bit better there. There, you've maybe seen it now. The light was, dimmed, and then it was built up again at the left side. I hope you could pick that out on camera. Sometimes it's really hard to film that. Actually, it also goes quite quickly. There again, and they're also obviously not complaining. And I mean, I have really big lighting power here. So there's these night vision assistants. Not sure, maybe one of you guys use that in an emergency situation or so. Then really feel free to share your experience. I have not had an emergency situation with a night driving assistant yet, from my experience. So I'm also not quite sure if it's that useful. But we did get some feedback before that it was quite helpful to a lot of people. So again, when you have experience yourself of that, please share them in the comments. It's a pleasure to drive this one here at night, especially because of the ambient lighting. Of course, I have set it to Thomas Blue. Yeah, that's of course my signature. And see here the light all around that vehicle, really cool. What a great night riding atmosphere. And once again, this soft air suspension. But you can still there see it, that the light which is building up, among those trees, also quite high actually. But then again, the car in front of us is not blind. It's really good to see it here, actually at the moment. Yeah, back to the suspension. So it always gives you this really soft experience. At the same time, the car feels still sporty. That's a really cool thing to have. And then when you also have that rear axis steering, told you earlier, even more agile. And then this predictive function. Well, at the moment there are no speed bumps here, but it's really so funny when you have a speed bump and the speed bump is really sucked up by the suspension and the car is going straight. It is actually really interesting to just watch what the lights are doing. Can it be maybe also irritating, or is it maybe catching your attention? Here you can really see how the light is following the car basically, but just next to it, So that's really interesting. You activate or deactivate this auto function, by the way, by pressing the stall column forward once. And here now, once again, right and left, high illumination, but not in the center of the vehicle. Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's really, really unpleasant here outside at the moment where we're driving up in Norway. I mean, 10 degrees Celsius. That's also the same like in Germany. So at this stage here, as unpleasant as in Germany at this time of the year. Yeah, our viewers from Norway would probably say like, hey, that's summer temperatures to us. Yeah, but you did have some great summers, right, recently. So maybe that has also changed for you then in this case. But it gives you here this very calm and relaxing feeling, and you just think like you could really ride all night and just stay super, super relaxed. That's, and then maybe activate seat massage and play your favorite seat massage stretch maybe. Yeah, that's a good idea, right? Stretch, or maybe I like the waves, definitely. The waves are always great and high intensity, and yeah, hit your favorite music station and so on, and then enjoy your drive. Here you can see the difference, by the way, when there's no one in front of us. You see that here? High beam versus no high beam. Whoa. Yeah, pretty impressive indeed. Here one more time. Whoa. That really lights up the whole environment here. Wow. Look at that. Here again, difference. See nothing. See everything. Oh, that small build-up. Let's see it once again. There we go. See that build-up here? Well, wipers once again. A little bit off-road experience here as well. Here. There we go. Whoa. that build-up is really a great show, and wow. Yeah, I mean, these headlamps are super expensive indeed. If you have the micro mirror option or not, that is not the most crucial thing. The high beam will be just the same, the micro mirror just for extensive function. So that is not the, the crucial thing, but having the matrix LED for night rides, that's definitely so cool to have. Yeah, getting the full potential out of it at this moment. Of course, you should also check out the BMW 7 Series review and the new Mercedes S-Class to compare this right here. One more time here. Light it up. Here I can go to Energy Shine, and this is the so-called circus mode. Here, when I accelerate, you see effects. When I decelerate, nothing happens. And yeah, this is the, hey, I invite my friends over to see my cars for the very first time, driving through a tunnel or driving through a night, and everyone's having a party while I'm being not distracted by my friends, nor the ambient lighting, I'm not drunk, and I'm driving, everyone else can get drunk, So, yeah. A full driving review of the Mercedes EQS in winter conditions here. What about efficiency, range, and also charging? Test here today with Thomas on Autogefühl. It's one of the most expensive EVs out there, but is it also one of the best? Let's find out. Let's go. In the front you can see here this closed grille with a small star pattern. That's actually quite interesting. The light strip goes all the way through. Here LED is standard, the digital light is optional. Then you can also really use individual pixels. The color for today is, depending on the market, called Twilight Blue or Sodalith Blue. Well, why Twilight? Because it couldn't decide if it's blue or not. Yeah, the nautical blue is, more bluish tone, would more come close to a Thomas Blue here. The length here at 5 meters 22 or 205 inches, and it has this really unique design. You have to say that really. Here with this one bow design right here that goes all the way through. However, are you team ugly or are you team beautiful? I'm on team ugly here today. Vote in the comments if you like the design or not. Tell me in the comments what do you think. I would be really interested, because most of the comments I've read so far say that people say, nah, that's not really good design. Tell me in the comments. Wheels from 19 inch, at least in Germany, up to 22 inch maximum, also especially with the AMG version, but here 21 inch wheels today with this like dual design, I would call it that way. In the US it's mostly 20 or 21 inch, by the way. EQS logo right here. Today chrome frames around the windows. It is a very clean design, and the main goal was aerodynamics indeed. So it's more like form follows function. Rear is very interesting. You have that rear axle steering. 4.5 degrees in the opposite direction with the rear wheels, or optional 10 degrees. It's a software thing. It is actually in the vehicle already, but just with software you basically unleash it. I don't like this trend. Do you? Oh, and there's no frunk to be opened. That's not possible. The HEPA filter, the optional one, is stored underneath that. The only thing you can open here is this wiper fluid fill-in right here. Here in the rear, that clean design is actually quite cool, I think. Especially here, the light signature in the rear and the small rear lip right there. You have different power output versions. You start with a 350, for example, on the German market. The small battery and rear-wheel drive. Here the 450 plus. Plus stands for the big battery, but still rear-wheel drive. The 580 would be all-wheel drive. One electric motor in the front, one in the rear. One in the front, one in the rear, that way. And then the EQS 53 AMG. That is basically the same with a little bit more horsepower tune in the all-wheel drive. Here, acceleration figure with this one here, around 6 seconds. Battery 108 kilowatt hours net, the big one, or the smaller one 90 kilowatt hours net. It's not too big of a difference, right? You save around like 8,000 euros then for the smaller version. In the US market, the small battery will probably not be available. However, I think most of the time you will end up with the biggest battery because you just want the highest range, especially also in winter time. Recharging 11 kilowatt AC, optional 22 kilowatt AC, and here maximum of 200 kilowatt DC, But what about the concise charging test? Theoretically, around 30 minutes from 10% to 80%. We also have here the charging curve for you. Yeah, that's very interesting because the peak is actually right there, but doesn't fall that fast. But the question is, here now also in winter time, is it really the case? We'll make the exact test right now. And now we start fast charging, 10%. Yeah, it says Porsche Engineering, this one here. 10% state of charge. Let's see how fast it goes. So charging power goes up. They have a 400 volt strategy, by the way, here. So it should go to around 400 volt. And let's see here, 200 kilowatt would be the peak power. And let's see, we stop here at about 173. Maybe a little bit more. Now from the inside you can also see that, yeah, around 170 kilowatt, and the total charging time to 100% would be about an hour. But that's not the relevant one, rather to 80%, because the last 20% takes so much more time. And very important, what I did is precondition the battery by driving motorway, and I also set this charging station in the GPS system. Then the car knows actually I want to approach that one. So if you would not do that, then the battery would not have the right temperature, and it could be that we do not reach this high charging power. So we went a little higher to now 180, yeah, 183 kilowatt. And so after 10 minutes, we went from 10 to 36%. So that's already good. And the cool thing is really, you can see here, yes, we did not reach the peak 200 kilowatt, but here the 170 or 180 kilowatt are being held all the time here so far. That's the crucial thing. We're still at 150 kilowatts, so now it's slowly dropping from that top speed we had, but so far still a very good result. And you have to take in mind, this is here a very big battery, 108 kilowatt hours net. So that means like the smaller EVs with these, you know, like 70 to 80 kilowatt hour batteries, they would already be, yeah, kind of full now. So because here we have already delivered now 63 kilowatt hours in 20 minutes. And even here at this relatively high state, power is still over 100 kilowatt, very impressive. So here, just over 30 minutes, and 80 kilowatt hours in just over 30 minutes. That is really impressive. And yeah, there we are. And we've reached 80%, 31, yeah, almost 32 minutes. The key here, actually cool quality, like that, but I'm at war with the door handles. So you can press here in this, you know, stamped area to close it. That's quite easy, but then to open it, I feel that sometimes it's working, sometimes it's not. You should press, yeah, this time it works, but often you press like 5-6 times and nothing happens. But you can also open and close it here with the key, that's also possible. Door closing sound, frameless doors. Yeah, that's a soft close. One more time, here, soft close. Yeah, here now you work against that electric motor, that's the thing. Now, and soft close, ta-da. But what is, when you slam it, that sounds very weird then. Inside of doors, really cool here, soft touch, and also with the ambient lighting you can always see here. However, cost savings, to me, these are cost savings. This is one button here. See here? There's one whole button for cool seats, heated seats, and the memory function. And this is here also, it doesn't give you haptic feedback like it used to be. So it looks like it, you know, gives you some feedback, but it doesn't. So you like controlling it in thin air, and I'm not sure what to think about it. What I know what to think about is the Burmester sound system. It's awesome indeed, and also nice wooden style interior here. Then the bright interior looks so amazing. Color-wise, this is great. In Germany you can also get Artico leatherette in here in the beige color, or also in black. However, in the US or in the UK, no animal-free interior available? Why? Why are they doing this? And here, by the way, the animal skin interior, do you see this? Talking about quality, that already looks, you know, really like 100,000 kilometers used or something like this. And you know, I love bright interiors, but bright floor mats are not a good idea. And my shoes weren't that dirty, but it's just, especially for winter time, not a good idea. Seating wise, I would tend just to go for the base seats, because these, you know, more luxurious seats here you can pick as an option are really too plush. You feel like like the seat is like blowing you away from the seating position, something like that, you know, that's the closest thing I can describe it. You can't really feel one with the seat. So this is supposed to be the electric S-Class, and I don't feel that well with the seating ergonomics here. It's, yeah, recently a thing with Mercedes. I think they should work on that. They do work on the materials there. Recently seen the EQXX concept car, but however, the German market gets Artico animal-free leather red and also microfiber in the AMG line, but the US and the UK market not. The flagship model of sustainable luxury should do better. Then, headroom-wise, gets very close here with 1.86 m or 6'1". This is also the one in here with panoramic roof, which is quite amazing actually. Let's open it. By the way, when it's really hot in summertime, then you can also close it. The rear one also has a shade if you like. Okay guys, before I take a seat, just take a look at this shot, how amazing design-wise this interior looks. Well, and now I'm disturbing the image. Screen-wise, screens, 12.3, then either 12.8 S-Class like in the middle, more vertical, or optional hyperscreen for more than 6,000 euros or dollars like here, 17.7 inch. And then you also get third screen, 12.3 inch as a passenger screen. This one here, the hyperscreen, looks more amazing. The base version will be a little bit easier to control. Here you can see also this kind of like, you know, curved design. Hey Mercedes.
How can I help?
What do you think about BMW?
Close acquaintance. Mercedes even manufactured series car bodies for BMW in the 1930s.
Really? Interesting. Wait a minute. In the 1930s? Thin ice, Mercedes. Well, and then here, GPS looks amazing, of course, and especially here in the hyperscreen, it looks amazing. Again, yeah, they claim like a zero-layer technology, but sometimes you do have to go quite deep in the menu, I think. And this is like this app view. Here in the Mercedes EQ, you can see the state of charge of the battery. Interesting is definitely the settings and the comfort menu. In the settings menu, for example, you can hear you know, change the language and so on. Vehicle, you can activate different sound experiences. I'll test that one when we're driving, how loud they are actually. Here, dynamic select, you have the driving modes, but you can also activate it with a hotkey in the middle console like this, sport mode, comfort mode, and so on and so on. The visualizations are indeed pretty cool. And comfort-wise, you have a very nice seat massage that really goes, especially the wave massage is great because it goes then, you know, from the top part even to lower to your booty and so on. Yes, intensive. I'll test that one later on as well. And if you don't care about all this and just want to go with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, then you go with that one. And the sound system, as I said earlier, is awesome. And yeah, this is also one of the most classics of all time, of course, trends-wise. Yeah, great sound. Here you can see this nice augmented reality function in the GPS screen. So you can see the camera image, and then there is this arrow. It's a little bit laggy at the moment though, so most of the time I've also seen it in real time, but yeah, that's why we do these tests, so this can obviously also happen. The steering wheel trusts on #capacitive BS for volume sliders and so on, and here you can also control the right screen with that one, and on the left side the same thing, but just done for cruise control, but it is definitely harder than with the older steering wheels where you have the real buttons. I'm really not sure who thought of this instrument design here, because you see that leaning angle? They should be more upright like this. You can see them better. Here, these are, by the way, the IR lights. You can only see them on camera. It's just too, you know, too flat, and you can see the reflections also, and they are also visible with your own eye. You can go full screen map, for example. It's not flickering in real life, just on camera, by the way, here at the moment. But also here, for example, for sportier gauges. But that doesn't, you know, deny the fact that the integration of the instruments should have been more visible to the driver. The head-up display is really large and very good to see, and also has some augmented reality function. And there it is. You can see here also augmented reality arrows in the head-up display, here signaling me then to turn right here at this intersection. When ambient lighting wise, this is so cool. I think I love it. And we'll drive it in a tunnel very soon and also have the active ambient lighting then. Wait for that. Interesting area here also. There is usually piano lacquer here. That's of course then collecting fingerprints and so on. Here the matte wood option is really cool. I would go for that one. When you open that one, you have two USB-C chargers. You can put your phone in there. No, it's not a piece of bread. It's a cork case. Inductive charger there, cup holders. And here then you have start-stop button. You can pick the driving modes here, for example. And then you have the typical split opening here with more space and two USB-C chargers. That looks just so nice, right? With the panoramic roof and this entry area and the bright seats. Really inviting indeed. Such a bad contrast that I now ruin again the floor mats, because I already did a shoe tab and there's nothing, you know, loose underneath my shoes. But yeah, the white floor mat's not a good idea. And also in general, the rear here is not a good idea, because do you see on camera how cramped I am here? It's like short bench and then it's like, I feel like sitting like, yes, on the toilet, yeah. Headroom wise, with 1m86 or 6'1", it works but gets close. I can put a hand over my head, but it's so uncomfortable here in the rear. Then this part is also so cramped. Well, knee room wise, that's not a problem at all. And also here, no middle tunnel and so on. You can sit here also with 3 tall adults, that's no problem. But the seat ergonomics here in the rear are indeed strange, I have to say. This middle part you can also fold down. Then you have inductive charging pad and some more storage space right here. Very nice at the inside of the doors here in the rear, by the way. Contour stitches, soft materials. Also cool with the backlighting here around. But then again, the high gloss piano lacquer stuff. But the matte wood right here, that's actually very fancy. The cool thing here about the EQS is that you have this fastback style hatch. Opens very wide, so you basically have something like an estate. See here with 1m86 or 6'1", I can easily stand underneath it. This cover here raises automatically and you can easily access that vast trunk. And this boot here, okay, now I covered US and UK viewers, comprises 610 up to 1,770 liters. This easily fits. The length here, 1m20 or 47 inches. That's actually quite good. And the width is, yeah, also a good meter or 40 inches also here in this area. And the height, let's say right here, for example, around 45 centimeters or 18 inches. And when we fold the seats, you can easily score this 2 meters or 79 inches in length to the front seat. You see it raises a little bit and there is a step. But in general, we again have to say, loading area wise, it's very, very well usable. Acceleration from 50 kilometers an hour. Let's go. $130, $150. Yeah, that's sound experience though. And top speed soon reaching at. Come on. 213 kilometers an hour, 214, so that's around 130 miles per hour. Wind noise is now picking up, of course, but still, I mean, it's quite silent here and really great in control. Air suspension stiffened up now for these higher speeds. Here also, for example, lane change. Yeah, feels really agile. Now hard on the brakes, of course, maximum recuperation as well, but now the rear brakes are also being used. Whoa. And we can indeed also change this sound experience here. That was Vivid Flux. We can also go with Silver Waves, for example. Or with Roaring Pulse. Let's see. But of course, it rather plays a role when you really accelerate it out, then you hear it in a more notable way. And for the next acceleration from 90 kilometers an hour, let's switch to Roaring Pulse. Let's listen to that. Let's go. 150. Wow, feels really great here. Very settled on the motorway. Long bend here. Wow. Yeah, that was already, once again, 200 kilometers an hour or 125 miles an hour. Really good. And well, this Roaring Pulse you couldn't hear that well, especially probably on microphone, because it mixed with the wind noises, because it's low frequency. Let's test here silver waves. Let's see. It's like one like whoosh, so whoosh. But vivid flux is definitely the most, audible one, I would say, definitely. However, with the EQS 53 AMG, that was way more audible. Let's just quickly tune into that. Let's listen to that. Yeah, that was something, wasn't it? So most of the time probably you would just leave it completely off, because I also think, it delivers you a sensation of speed in a way, but it gets annoying over time. 100. $150. Here I set it to strong recuperation. Now we have to reduce the speed. Is it a one-pedal driving feeling? Well, the recuperation is strong when you have set here the shifting pedals. Yes. Normal recuperation, no recuperation, normal, strong. So 3 levels basically. But then again, when you're driving a little bit slower, it does not make a full stop. So is it a true one-pedal driving feeling then? No. Not really, but you can at least set strong recuperation. However, it is being resetted when you start the car again. So they rather set on this, rolling effect and also using the brakes. But when I press and hold the shifting pedal, intelligent recuperation gets active. Here, no car in front of me, no recuperation. Then I'm closer to a vehicle. There is recuperation. So that's actually the best recuperation mode. And then you can also come to a standstill when a car is in front of you in traffic jam. Now, when we get to the tunnel, this one here is of course pretty cool. You can really see the ambient lighting, and even cooler is of course lights. Yeah, that's of course very distracting when I do something right here, ambient lighting, and edit settings, why another step? So, and then here I can go to energy shine, and this is the so-called circus mode. Here, when I accelerate, you see effects. When I decelerate, nothing happens. And yeah, this is the, hey, I invite my friends over to see my cars for the very first time, driving through a tunnel or driving through a night, and everyone's having a party while I'm being not distracted by my friends, nor the ambient lighting. I'm not drunk, and I'm driving. Everyone else can get drunk, So yeah, that's the so-called, or we call it circus mode here. Well, it is entertaining, but of course distracting. When some even say that a mono ambient lighting would even be already distracting, this one surely is. But I think the ambient lighting is pretty cool. I love, of course, to have it here in Thomas Blue. Yeah, you have different options here available, and of course brightness all the way up. Air suspension is sporty and comfortable at the very same time. Remember, we have the big wheels here, but indeed, because the air suspension is so good, you still have decent comfort. Yeah, Tesla Model 3 here without air suspension, really, really stiff there. The rather, fair competitor to this one here is the Tesla Model S. That one has air suspension and also has then a good suspension comfort. Meanwhile, with Tesla, since they made the upgrades like 2 years ago, I think, for S and X. So yeah, suspension-wise is really good. And of course here the rear axle steering, when you're at slower speeds, either is 4.5 or 10 degrees rear axle steering. 10 degrees is an option, and that makes this vehicle here, which it has 5 meters 22 in length, so much more agile and faking a shorter wheelbase. So it feels kind of unnatural a little bit, because at lower speeds you really feel like your tail would be like waggling, like shake, shake, shake. But it definitely helps in parking in and out. And this 10 degrees option even more reduces the turning circle by a meter. So that's of course really impressive for such a big vehicle. Ooh, one more time here, ambient lighting in the tunnel. Malibu sunset is also one of my favorite things. I wouldn't leave it like all the time, but just, you know, getting in the mood, like cocktail beach mood or something. So that's really cool for that. Or burning blue, woo. But definitely my favorite setting is still the ocean blue. Here, once again, not too loud, wind noises, very connected to the road. In the S mode, the air suspension gets a little bit stiffer, really good to control. So superb in the handling, suspension rise, great job. Steering is also fine, there's no big dead zone area or something. And maybe in the very low degree angles, they made it more in a comfort setting that you can cruise straight on the motorway, for example. And then when we get off the throttle, we can also have here the cruise control, and also with the active lane keeping assist. Now the speed is already being reduced, and see how actively we are kept in the lane. Yeah, that's a very smooth process. So the assistance systems here are really top-notch. Blind spot monitor is also included. However, if I drive here so fast on the motorway, you will hardly ever see the blind spot monitor being activated, because we are appearing in the blind spot, not everyone else. So we're getting off the motorway now. Yeah, this car is so much fun to drive still. It is huge, it is large, it has a long wheelbase, but due to that rear axle steering and low center of gravity, wow. It's really great in the slalom, and of course even better than when I drive a little bit slower, because then the rear axle steering is going in the opposite direction. At higher speeds it's going in a parallel direction, and now I realize that the slower we get, the more active the rear axle steering goes in the opposite direction. Yeah, so hardly ever we could have so much driving fun and agility in a car at that size and at that weight. This is the most remarkable thing about this vehicle here. As for energy consumption, by the way, at top speeds, usually, you know, we also had it here now, it's like double or more than double the usual average consumption, you know, so, and that would kind of mean you could drive with full speed, yeah, some little bit less than 200 kilometers or 125 miles, something like that. Because the normal average consumption we have today is also quite astonishing and rather bad, because we end up some 25 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers or 40 kilowatt hours on 100 miles. And that would mean we are more in like 430 kilometers of range or 270 miles. Here in wintertime, close to freezing temperatures, 1.5 degrees Celsius. And that's quite astonishing, because in summertime we could score in the EQS something close to 600 kilometers or 400 miles. So the temperature effect seems to be quite heavy on this vehicle. Yeah, that's a thing you're gonna have to live with. And of course, thinking about, hey, say like, I have enough money, I would just want the best electric vehicle with the highest range and so on. Well, it seems that you do not have the greatest advantage here from this 100k plus vehicle, 100k in the base version, 160 or something equipped. And then if you compare this to this like 60,000 euros or dollars EVs like Kia EV6, Ford Mustang Mach-E, Tesla Model Y, well, in the winter times, they don't differ that much in range. That's of course also one of the key findings here today. Very interesting. Here, by the way, now, it's like a traffic light. Once again, you have the traffic light view. Well, in this case I can see it, but here now green, and now I accelerate out, and here nice rear axle steering, and in the sport mode it gets a little bit, you know, it doesn't break out in the rear or something, but it gets a little bit loose. You have of course a lot of power, and to me, when you have these vehicles which are available with rear-wheel drive, always all-wheel drive. Even if the rear-wheel drive ones have less power and one electric motor less, in efficiency, it doesn't matter so much actually with the electric vehicles. Not like when you go like rear or front wheel drive versus all-wheel drive with a combustion engine. However, from the agility, when you have rear wheel drive only, you have just a boost from the rear wheels, and it is more fun to me. Yes, it's less in the acceleration, but we've seen on the motorway, this one here, the 450 is way more than enough. To me, it's the version to go for with the EQS, because the 350 available in Germany, for example, has the smaller battery, so go for the one with the bigger battery. but then with rear-wheel drive to have more fun. And especially when you set it here to the normal driving mode, the electronic stability control will also control that it won't break out in winter or something. All-wheel drive just makes sense when you live like, in the Alps region in Europe or Minnesota in the US or something, or in Canada, in BC or something like this, then the all-wheel drive will still make sense, yes, but for most use cases, rear-wheel drive will just be enough and you can save some money with it. And to me, indeed, you have a little bit more driving fun. As for seating and so on, I felt, I told you that in the interior part, I feel that the seat is for some time too plush in a way. They look super comfortable and sophisticated, but I don't feel that they offer so much comfort as they should be. So, especially recently, I'm not really satisfied with the seat ergonomics with Mercedes in general. Maybe just my body type, but I've read it also in the comments that a lot of you guys actually also said, yeah, Thomas, finally someone talks about this. I have the same experience. I'm especially, all of you who are a little bit taller say like, don't really feel comfortable in the Mercedes seats. I'd rather go then, for Lexus, Audi, BMW. VW Group in general, by the way, is usually building seats which have, a higher average. Whereas Mercedes and also the Asian manufacturers rather go for a lower average in the seat form as for the body height. That's always a problem, with setting the averages. It's also discriminating women most of the time because like a typical male average is usually taken. That's in automotive industry, it's in pharmaceutical stuff. So that's also a big issue, of course. Yeah, and when you're very tall, then you're also discriminated against. Yeah, okay, I'll survive here, but I have to say, this car costs so much and supposed to be so comfortable, but to me, it isn't actually. And when you now compare Mercedes S-Class versus EQS, they apply the same raw chassis foam that kind of builds up during the process then here on the EQS. Still, I felt that the S-Class is a little bit more silent, really at very, very high speeds when we've driven that one. That's also an interesting factor. Driving fun-wise, EQS versus S-Class, clearly the EQS, so much more fun with a low center of gravity. It's really the thing, in all the segments, the electric vehicles are more fun to drive, minus possible sound or something. When you think about that. And now some agile driving fun here with the Silver Waves sound profile. In the sport mode, again, suspension a little bit silver, but the air suspension evens that out very well. More comfort, of course, than with some smaller wheels possible also. And you really don't feel that you would be steering such a long vehicle. Yeah, and with rear-wheel drive, you can very well get out of the corners. You hear something of the sound profile. Now on the brakes, there you feel the weight actually. Yeah, a little bit braking out even. Great fun. Wow. And one more time. This is so great, really. I mean, I'm not deactivating ESC here on public roads or something, but this was already enough. Can have a little spin, yeah. This so much proves my point that the rear-wheel drive version of this one here, of the EQS, is so much more fun than the all-wheel drive version, especially in these conditions here and these situations. Yeah, and then you can just live with a little bit less of acceleration boost when you have more cornering driving fun, definitely. That's at least my take to this.
So where does that all leave us? This was so interesting. Let's begin with the newest vehicle in this comparison, the BMW 7 Series. First of all, really very interesting that it looks always the same no matter if you go for the i7 EV or if you go for the combustion engine. And I think in a way it's a clever choice because it enables you as a customer to go this transition. You don't have a specific car to say, oh, look, that's an electric vehicle and has maybe a very strange look. No, all versions have the very same look. And I think at this moment that might also be a clever choice, whereas you have a lot of electric vehicles which maybe look a little bit more odd. So in this case, the same look for all of the vehicles. And
you still see with the BMW 7 Series, it has a very strong German angular look, and I think that works very well. However, the design in general is very controversial because there is one thing that comes with this electric platform, and that is it builds a little bit higher. So it doesn't look like a very flat, sleek sedan. It still becomes obvious that you did have to keep some space for the batteries in this platform, and therefore it is also sometimes criticized. However, I think the solution overall is very good, and also in our driving review we realized that both the petrol engine and also the electric version drive absolutely phenomenally. So there is no big fun difference in driving the petrol or the electric i7. Both have great driving capabilities. The interior setup looks really fancy as well. They found a mix between modern things and also more classic things. However, the user interface more goes into a rather complicated direction. And the thing is, here and there, to us, there were too many screens around where you had to put your finger on and then change something, and not enough buttons anymore left. So yes, the riding has become even better than in the previous generation. There is great luxury in that cabin. They also have animal-free seating alternatives. That is very special in that segment, and also leading there, the new Veganza seats. They're also called Sensación in the BMW X7, for example. Really soft, perforated leatherette, awesome quality, leading in this whole segment indeed. Yeah, but the thing is, at some point, the user interface is more complicated than in the previous generation. That's the one downside. Other than that, it's really a very impressive vehicle. As an electric version, has great range as well. And as a combustion engine, it has these classic luxury values also, with the sonorous sound, especially for example from the V8 you can still get in the US. As for the Mercedes S-Class, well, as for the user interface, the same accounts as for the BMW 7 Series. In this new generation, the user interface is more complicated than before. Great is once again the suspension, which gives you this floating air suspension comfort we know and love from Mercedes. So when there are air suspensions, usually at Mercedes they are at the softest level, whereas BMW and Audi more try to find a compromise between sportiness and comfort still. So the S-Class in the base setup, if you don't go for the AMG version, gives you the softest ride. It's not that it's way more comfortable from the suspension. The 7 Series and the A8 also give you a very comfortable suspension ride. However, in the S-Class you can get the softest setup, that you have this floating effect on the road actually. That's a thing I really love about the S-Class. The seat ergonomics I found worst in the S-Class, because in the 7 Series it was really good, and the seat ergonomics of the A8 is also awesome. So we really have to talk on a very high level here, and also considering that price or these prices. But there, the seat ergonomics are fine, especially for tall people. In the S-Class, actually the worst in this comparison. And user interface wise, yeah, as I said, it's also sometimes very complicated. From the styling and from the appearance on the road, the S-Class still has some more classic appearance. The BMW 7 Series or the i7, they indeed look more unique, more different than before, so definitely different than the predecessor. The S-Class more goes into this evolutionary approach, that it's not too different from the predecessor, and that is also maybe important to a lot of people. As for the rear executive comfort, well, I was a little bit surprised that in the standard S-Class version I didn't have too much space for my long legs, whereas it was no problem in the 7 Series and also no problem in the Audi A8L. So for all three versions we had the long versions each. So for all three models we had the long versions each. However, the S-Class long is the standard one also for the US. The 7 Series, meanwhile, is just available now in that very one wheelbase, also a clever choice. And the Audi A8 is predominantly bought as the A8L also in the US, for example. Just in Germany, people tended to buy the short wheelbase version, but these will phase out now more and more. Has already been done with the 7 Series, with the S-Class step by step, and with the Audi A8 probably soon as well. And talking about the A8, the cool thing here about the A8, I found that it still has this classic user interface. Turning knobs, for example, at the steering wheel to adjust the volume. Yes, it has the climate unit also in the touchscreen, but for a touchscreen solution, I found the climate unit in the Audi easiest to control. It's most straightforward as for the menu structure, for example, and they also have great seating ergonomics. Well, as for the animal skin issue, Audi has no alternative at all. It's the worst in the test. The Mercedes S-Class can be bought also with the fabric interior. Not too many people go for that. More maybe need to give it a try, because some people say you need to have a slick surface in the luxury segment. Well, fabric surfaces do offer also a lot of advantages, as for the breathability, for example. But sometimes people feel that they want the same look as animal skin leather, which is fine, and then you can go with the interior, with the Veganza interior in the BMW i7 or the 7 Series. But at least BMW and Mercedes have some offers there. BMW even more now, but Audi the worst than as for the seating materials on offer. As for the comfort and the ergonomics, as I said, the Audi is also really top notch, both in the front and in the rear seat. Driving comfort and dynamics wise, the suspension in the Audi is also really awesome. It gives you great comfort at the same time. It's so much fun to drive it as well. So as for the driving fun factor, BMW and Audi lead Mercedes in this case then, I think. So between BMW and Audi, as for the fun factor, yeah, it gets really, really, really close, I have to say. And as for the Mercedes EQS, well, there is no Audi A8 EV pendant yet. There will be at a later stage something like that. We already had a first preview what the electric A6 might look like as sedan and estate, and probably they'll also use the platform for the A8 electric version, but this will be a separate dedicated one. The same thing accounted for the Mercedes EQS. Well, and the thing is, they are driving fun wise, because of the low center of gravity, it has actually more driving fun than the Mercedes S-Class. Comfort-wise, yeah, the suspension setup is not as soft as in the S-Class. Seating-wise, we found it's maybe even a little bit worse, and that's also the thing I criticized most about the EQS. Both in the front and especially in the rear. The seat ergonomics is not that good, and especially not for tall people. And the rear seating in the EQS is totally off the charts in this comparison in a negative way. There is hardly any comfort in the rear seating area of the Mercedes EQS, that for executive driving in the rear, it kinda doesn't even count for this comparison. And that's really astonishing. Wow, so when you then, for example, compare Mercedes EQS against the BMW i7, the i7 clearly wins it. The EQS also has some good features. For example, it is leading in the wind efficiency. So in summertime and when you have steady speeds and even on motorway, it can be the most efficient one. It does not have a heat pump yet at the time we record this video here, but they will retrofit a heat pump, because recently the EQE SUV has been revealed with a heat pump, so I'm quite sure they will also retrofit it for the EQS. So all four of these vehicles, well, do we have to say 5 because 7 Series and i7? Well, yeah, let's take it with 4. They all have their unique features. They are all top-notch, definitely. They are awesome vehicles, top luxury. They have so many awesome features. Yeah, for example, I love the ambient lighting with Mercedes, with the EQS and the S-Class, definitely. But which one would I actually take home? So, let me tell you. When we think about the Mercedes EQS, I think comfort in the seating ergonomics is a problem for that vehicle, and also range in wintertime. So I would take this one here at this moment least. The Mercedes S-Class still has a very classic approach, but I'm not that 100% satisfied with the user interface. I love, however, the very soft air suspension ride, which is awesome in this segment. But to me, seating comfort in this segment is one of the things that is absolute key. And from the seating comfort, Audi A8 and BMW 7 Series has convinced me most. And the second thing is, yeah, these vehicles are being driven, in a chauffeur mode. People on the right side rear usually then being chauffeured, but usually the customers also drive the cars themselves, and quite often, or most customers, more often drive the cars themselves than there are at the back. Or maybe you have a split between weekdays, working days, you being chauffeured, maybe work during that, and then you drive the car yourself at the weekend, for example. That might also be a user case, but more people even still drive it themselves because they are car enthusiasts just like you and me. And therefore, driving fun is still also in this top luxury segment a factor that would be very crucial to me. And the A8 and the i7 or the BMW 7 Series, they give me a lot of driving fun indeed. The A8 has the best steering feeling, like the natural steering feeling, and they don't have to steer too much. The BMW is also very good in that case, and it feels also quite light, although it's really heavy, especially in that EV version. That's also something to consider, definitely. So driving fun, which is the winner? That's really hard to say. Both drive really very, very well. When we think about the seat offerings, to me it is very important that it's animal friendly. So there, the BMW 7 Series just offers more. No matter if you go for 7 Series or i7, or well, it depends on the market. You have to check in your specific market which engine version is available with which seat spec. Then again, the user interface I like best with the Audi A8. Yeah, and that's then of course really, really hard to pick. And that's why I come to this final conclusion for today. If I would buy one of these cars used, there were hardly any limited alternatives available anyway, then I could as well go for an Audi A8 and still enjoy the more classic user interface. If I would lease or buy new, then the BMW i7 or BMW 7 Series offers the most modern setup, seating-wise, luxury-wise, comfort-wise. You don't have to pick the cinema screen that I think is like obsolete. But for the new buying, I think the 7 Series is the most impressive one. Would you go for the 7 Series petrol, diesel, plug-in hybrid or electric i7? It really depends on the charging infrastructure you have and how you use the vehicle. If you drive really, really long mileage kilometers every single day and have bad charging infrastructure, still the petrol for you, or maybe go for a compromise with the plug-in hybrid if you have maybe like electric commuting during the week and longer trips on the weekend. That would be the plug-in hybrid profile. Or then if you say, hey, I have a great charging infrastructure at work, at home, or both, and that's fine, and I don't go so long mileage like every day without having time to recharge or something, then the i7 is of course already a very good option. So all of them super impressive vehicles. They are actually the vehicles that are worth to spend so much time with. That's why this comparison is also so long, and you can just enjoy the whole stuff again. In this video we can really see the top of car luxury, and I really think honestly that you don't gain more if you go like Bentley, Rolls-Royce and so on, because they are even more expensive but without offering really more. Maybe more personalization or something, but these are not really better vehicles, on the contrary. So these bespoke luxury brands usually charge more money because customers want to pay even more for that to be even more unique. But of course, these vehicles here in this video are already expensive enough. And as I said, to me, they are the best luxury cars altogether, and not the ones that are even more expensive. Which one would you take home right now? Tell me in the comments. And also join us for more comparison episodes right now.